ku Eswatini TV. I-mother of all gospel shows, ibambisane ne-Eswatini TV, ikulethela indumezulu ye-Gospel Festival mhla ka-29 ku-April eMavuso Trade Center. Leta uphinze idlale bukhoma ku-Eswatini TV. Itawube irekhoda bahlabeleli labawine emqudelwaneni we-Rising Star Talent Search Show. Bahlabeleli batabe basekelwe ngu Mthunzi Namba, Nduduzo Mathe, Thina Zungu, Ndawonye, Sibunowa, Linda Dlamini, Kanan Nyathi, Mpumi Mtswene kanye nalabanye labanengi. Ekuseni sitawuba nayo i-Kids Fun Fair lihambisana ne-workshop. Ematikiti eme kanjena. I-General ing 150, i-VIP ing 350, kungena ku-workshop kung 200 emalangeni. Bantfwana labangaphasi kweminyaka leng-12 babhadala 20 wemalangeni kuphela. Emagede atawuvulwa nga-8 AM ekuseni. Ungaphuthelwa, asihlangane khona.
A very good morning and welcome to Kusile Breakfast Show at 6 o'clock on the dot. Thank you so much for waking up with us today. It is the 24th of April 2023. Sabanga ukuthi nivuke nathi namhlanje. Sasama futhi ukuthi nibe nempela somvo lenhle nalebosisekile. Good morning and welcome. Sifiso, how do you do? How was your weekend?
I was great, Lungalele. I'm very well. Ngabunjani wena?
No, ngiphilile.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu lo ukuthi singena evikini lekugcina lale nyanga. It's a blessing ke lokho lo. Nje ngihlale ngibuka, I don't know why. Kwaba liviki lekugcina le nyanga. I just take time to reflect ekuseni. I made it to the final week. Ngingafiki nje kule weekend ngibuka nje lo Monday because sina sinasifika la nasiphuselane kanjalo reflect. So just blessed to, ukubona le liviki lekugcina lenyanga lesetulo and hopefully sitawuchubeka umnyaka uzawuphela ngalo nyaka lesihamba ngalo.
Yeah, kunjani sifisa. I think saved nje last week ukuthi April kube inyanga lebene ma holiday lamaningi. Sizakhuluma nje ngawo nje kusasa it's yet another public holiday. We are celebrating a Flag Day. So nje it's public holidays kalo April nami ngoba nami inayo nama holiday lamaningi. Singena ku May Day, phinze futhi kube na Ascension Day mhla ka 18 May. So nje bamhla basebenza Monday to Friday bayajabula at least baba nawo lawo malanga nje ukuthi bathathe likhefu kancane.
Excited for National Flag Day. Lungelele sineke nawe holiday asiladi ukuthi
asiladi
but lokho akunanzaba. But looking at the significance of the day la National Flag Day, I think it is going to be only right ukuthi kube khona lesibakhulumisako lapha ehlelweni. We have a primed bantu labamcwa kakhulu lengicabanga ukuthi babukele emakhaya bathu abajabulela kuba ukuthi when Eswatini hoisted its flag for the first time bekusignifya ini stuff sinzabe siyayikhulumisa kusasa but nje asesingene ehlelweni la namhla Lungelele ngabe sibaphethelene.
Right, before singene ke lehlela sesibuke nje nangumbiko soka khona eTebula Tempilo. Lelviki kusukela kumhla ka 16 kuya kumhla ka 22 April Tebula Tempilo lende noma ke lihlole bantu umkhuhlane COVID-19 labangu 387 kutholakala ukuthi labangu 41 banawo nomkhuhlane kanti ke manje nje labasesibhedlela labelashwako bang 6 kuphela lasebanawo lo umkhuhlane lapha evene kungumanje bangu 86 kutekela basishile emhlabeni kuleli viki solo wabhethuko lomkhuhlane lasebawutholile bangu 74,627 kanti lesabashiya emhlabeni bangu 1,400 425 kulabukela sebaluleme inombolo letinsha tikhomba ukuthi sekululeme bantfu labangu-28 eveni lonke. Kanti-ke nako ukugoma solo kuyachubeka amasonto lamahle bantfu nje bayakhuthazwa ukuthi bahambe bawugomele lo mkhuhlane ngoba solo khona sifiso sekuthi nje tinombolo tiphansi kakhulu kofa wona solo ukhona and kumcona as well ukuthi sichubeke sitiphephise kuwo.
Yeah. And just looking at that graphic, there are 6 people who are currently admitted with COVID-19. 6 is a lot. 6 is a lot.
It's a lot.
It's not just a reflector during the time when it was very prevalent, the COVID-19. You remember, kubona abantu laba admitted bekushayisa livalo lelinganani ngoba siyathi ukuthi lokho bekushopsini. And we're not even fear mongering, but we're just talking the reality. People should really go and vaccinate because it does protect our logo. Maybe currently admitted kuna 0 lapho.
Yeah, all right. On the show today njengoba kumsombuluko nje siqala nje ngekuteka tindzaba te-cyber crime besinaye lapho umphathi weluhlangothi lwaka-fraud emaphoyiseni babejele tindzabeni akhuluma nje ngokuthi tinombolo te-cyber crime letilahlekelwe live kusukela nga-April 2022 kuya kuMarch kulomnyaka losetulu kulahleke imali lenganga-4 million emalangeni through cyber crime such as online shopping, theft by false pretense and online investments. I think indzaba lebalekele kakhulu leko ukuthi vele siyibukete abantu ukuthi sidivikela kanjani kulobucala lobu. And also kuyavela ukuthi cybercrime is estimated to cost Africa $4 billion and it is estimated that it costs the South African economy $500 million a year. Nigeria 500 million kanye Kenya 36 million amalangeni $36 million. Timali ke letinengi silabe sikhulumisana naye lapho Nicholas Chele longu head of fraud department emaphoyiseni kuve ukuthi ngambe vele mhlambe le mali nelahleke kanjani yini esingayenda tikuphi tikhala lekumele ukuthi tivalwe yini metamo lengentiwa sive kubambisana ekutheni inciphe le mali lena ngoba inengi kakhulu 4 million amalangeni. So silabe sikhulumisana namhlanje nga6:30.
Lulu, certainly looking forward to leyo conversation yakho naye babe Nicholas Chele. Now ukhuluma nga 4 million emalangeni lobe lost from eMaswati between March last year to April this year. That's a lot of money. Nabuka nje ukuthi imali lena lekuma regular eMaswati. Kusho kona ukuthi bantu bagalebula kangakanani basheshe bathatheke kangakanani. So I'm looking forward to that one nga6:30. 7:30 Linda Master Dlamini joins us kukhulumisa temidlalo. Sikhulumile ke langeni langa lesihlanu evikini leliphelile. It's going to be a stacked weekend at Nzabeni, the football, especially the English Premier League, Eswatini, as well as the FA Cup. Star kumbula ukuthi English Premier League, Arsenal versus Southampton was one of those games we're looking forward to watch. We'll talk about that one. There's Fulham versus Leeds, Crystal Palace versus Everton, Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest, Brentford versus Aston Villa, Leicester City versus Wolves, as well as in Newcastle and now ledlalile. Sitakhuluma ke nangayo FA Cup because sisibonile ukuthi kule final letako kutabe kuyidabi, but ke Linda Master joining me sitangena emathunjini ayo sitakhuluma ukuthi Manchester City played Sheffield United, Brighton played Manchester United. Lama results lapho ke abe exciting kakhulu nala kangwane ke big derby ebesolo sikhuluma ngayo Eswatini TV broadcaster live esukwini la itolo Mbabane Highlanders versus Mbabane Swallows. It was an amazing game. Scores akhona start disclosure kahle nasekunamaster ahleli lana sitakhulumisa ke le league yase South Africa sisakhulumisa dona temidlalo ngaleso sikhathi sanyalo ke sibahlola imarket uma sibuya sibuka indzaba lapha ekhaya.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who paid for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
Sanza-ke kuphela imizuzu lelishumi solo kubumbene insimbi yesithupha lomhla ekuseni asiyithathe itindzaba talapha ekhaya. Umndeni wenifambatanyana leneminyaka lesihlanu yakadake eNgwenya ufuna-ke timphendvulo kulandzela kutsi lenifambatanyana ishe ingcongce ngesikhatsi kusha indlu. Make lo mkhulu walomfana Kusile Dlamini uthi akubanedisi ukuthi lo mlilo waqalwa likhandlela kodwa basola ukuthi lo mfana bamgagadlela babese bashisa lendlu lebekathe akuyo.
Lenhlekelele ekushela kwalomntwana endlini yentiyanga lesihlanu Kusile Dlamini lokungimakela umkhulu walomntwana loshele endlini lokungisiphesihle ethwala uchaza kabanti ukuthi kungani mangilomndeni basole ukuthi lomntwana wagagadlelwa ingakashiswa lendlu.
Ukuthi sibantu sivele siyasola kakhulu mina ngathi kumbe uhambile umfana mbo wayocela kamakhelwane umejiso wabuya walayita ngiphinze ngidideke lokuthi ngoba la ekhaya basebenzisa light abasebenzisi imakhandlela sasola ke lokuthi kungenteka kube kunemuntu logangile thide ngoba ngalendlela lo mfana lebeka ngiyo lambedzeni ahleti ngayo wawungaboni lokuthi lo mfana uhledi but nje wende so naletandla nje tende so ayi kwasuka nje kwasolisa kuthi ngazi ukuthi nje kukhona lo fike nje wamthi hodle la kuleti insimbi talombhethi asibuka lesithombe lokuhlala kwakhe kuthi lo mfana ngenteka kube khona lo wambamba wasangacetha wathi ngicetha ubufakazi wahloma lo mlilo.
Indvuna yenkundla yasemotshane Nigel Shongwe lebekathe ayolilela lo mndeni ucele eMaswati ukuthi awubambise ngetimali tekufihla umufi njengaloku kungumndeni lohlubulile.
Sibukile nje nathi simo sinami ngichamke enkundleni ngakhanza sichala ikhali lingasilile likahle vele uyabona ukuthi kunyenti lokuthi ngakuthi bangabambiseka kibo kulibala ekhaya.
Batali balomntwana abasebenti bobabili kani uyise ekuvela eveni laseMozambique lo mndeni ucele ukuthi labo labangasita ngekubambisa ngetimali temgcwabo ukuthi bangashayeli inombolo yaPhumzile Dlamini lengu 780 59375 780 59375. Umxhumanisi wesive kanye namaphoyisa Superintendent Phindile Vilakati uyivumile indzaba yokushona kontombatanyana leminyaka lesihlanu yasenzaweni yaseNgwenya ungeteke ukuthi liphenyo lusachubeka etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla ngiseNgwenya.
Azgelitiko letempilo lisebenta indlela tekunciphisa abantu labatfolakala nesifo samalale-veva emahlathini lapho khona kulinywa insangu. Lokhu kuvetwe ngumcondzisi wetempilo Dr. Velephi Okelo emhlanganweni wabodokotela weminyaka wekubuka dona tindzaba tamalale-veva lobanjelwe ehhotela le-Hilton eMbabane.
Litiko letempilo selibambe ingcungcuthela emhlangano weminyaka wabodokotela nabonesi wekubuka tikhebesi letikhona etindzabeni tekulwa nesifo samalale-veva netifo letinganakeki kahle pheceleti neglected tropical diseases noma ke NTDs. Lo mhlangano wona uthathe emalanga lamathathu njengoba uqale ngelanga lesihlanu wephetha ngelanga langelisonto. Umcondzisi wetempilo Dr. Velephi Okelo uthi Kulomhlangano kuvelile ukuthi imetamo yelive yekulwa nesifo samaleleveva sengathi ifuna kwenteleka phansi ngetinombolo tebantfu labatfolakala nalesifo emahlathini lapho kulinywa khona sihlahla sensango.
Inamba le kakhulu lesibonako inamba yebantfu labalima ngathi insango etigangeni ngoba uyokhanziwe ukuthi njengale kusikhathi sekuvuna nyalo lokungubanyalo April March April siyatibona inombolo tenyuka kakhulu ngokuthi bantu laba labangakhona ukuthi akafutha lesigangeni kwesibili ngete bayisebenzisa nale net yembuzilwane so sabuka tindlela tekuthi ngiziphi tindlela bangasitakala ngato baselele letigangeni ngoba futhi ke siyesibona ukuthi kube sekungena nabe kamakhelwane batofuna umsebenzi bawuthole khona lena ekuvuneni lensango lemasimini so litiko nje lisabuka leto tindlela ukuthi sisebenzisana njani ngoba sine sifuna impilo yemuntu ukuthi umuntu aphile.
Umbiko nhlangothi olubuka isifo samaleleveva lapha eveni National Malaria Control Program uveta ukuthi kungmanje balikhulu nesikhombisa 107 bamvu lesebatfolakale nalesifo lapha eveni le labangemashumi lasikhombisa ekhulwini babo 70% batfolakale emahlathini lapho kulinywa khona sihlahla sensango. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkelisiwe Khoza nginambongwa Dube eMbabane.
Tiyakhala letinye tisebenti lebetikatse tisebenta enkampanini leyakha tini yakalanga brick kutsi noma letinye tisebenti setitfolile sincephetelo kodwa letinye solwati katfoli ngisho zuka lomnyama letisebenti letingakatfoli ibonsumbulwane tithi setitshelwa kutsi yasale ticalela phansi futsi ke tiletse bufakazi bekutsi betisebenta kule nkampani.
Inkampani yakalanga break yavalwa ngeminyaka wa 2016 kanti labanye balawo bebakade basebenta kule nkampani bayitfolile imali yokunciphetelwa nathi sihlanu kule nyanga lesetulu labo bebakade basekomitini elibukele letisebenti kalanga break lokungumbongiseni Vilakati kanye nasikelela Tsabe sebachaza kabanti
kwathola lidlanzana lelincane so linengi labo nyalo solo namhla solo bangishala tincingo solo abayitholi kanti sebasayina asitholi ke lothi kanaba sayina lamaphepha bese ashonaphi kwayona le mali yasikhalisa nekwekuthi nje le mali lebhadalwa labantu incane kanti labantu bayekela 2016 December abazange bahole 2017 January bangaholi kwangilapho ke bema khona ke so nyalo nawuthi lo muntu umbhadala kuthiwe siyakunempetela nje ngalo 900 lebabatholako kubhlungu labantu at least kube manje babhadalelwa amaholo abe at least ngakungqono.
Mina ngikilaba lebasengayithola bebasolo basithembisa ke ngike ngamshayela nje naye lo babencumalo lokwalebha tinkulumo tabo vele athi sahlangani kahle nasibuta ngoba vele sivame kushayela Vilakati njengoba asho athi sahlangani kahle le tinkulumo tabo usho lokunye ngakithi phinze asho lokunye ngale indzaba yema payslips nje iliciniso.
Njengalokho lenziwa bese ifike etinkantolo ummeli lakhe hawuye lobuke kuncephethelwa kwaleti 70 nakashayela licingweni lenombolo ya MTN Eswatini akakabambi komishana wetisebenti tikuleti 7 kanye nenhlala kahle yathi umthunzi Shabangu ucela umsakazo ukuthi uchumane nommeli hawo njengalokuye lobuke kuncephethelwa kwaleti 70 etindzabeni kubika Fortune dlangamandla ngisembaka.
Sive semphakathi wasesiphocosini sesicelela ibandla letelikhetfo nemincele ukuthi licinisekise ukuthi noma sekunconywa abomake bangavaleleki ngaphandle kodwa nabo batfole emathuba lalinganako nabo babe kube ngo-50-50. Lesive besikhuluma ngesikhathi lelibandla lifundzisa ngelikhetfo.
Sive semphakathi wasesiphocosini ngaphansi kwenkundla yasesiphocosini siphume ngeminingi baso ngelisondvo sangenela umhlangano wekufundisa sive ngetingoli letahlukene telikhetfo emsebentini lochutshwa libandla letelukhetfo nemincele yetinkundla i-Elections and Boundaries Commission EBC locala eminyakeni lophelile. Ngemva yokuthi lelibandla letfulele lesive tifundvo lesive salomphakathi sibhekise imibuto saphathisa netincomo kulelibandla batsinza indzaba yokunconywa kwabomake nentfutfuko yebantfu labasha.
Mina benginesicelo kwa IBC ukuthi lapha makunconywa asekubukakale le percentage yabomake ukuthi manje kube ngu50 kube ngu50 uze kutewulingana letinfo nabomake balimelele elikhetho bangene eParliament nabo bayoshayela umthetho.
Ngicela kulala bakhambe nako lonyaka ukuthi bamane bete kulensha abahlala nayo phasi babute ukuthi yini abafisa emaphupho ethu kusendela wona kuningi lesifisa kutendela kona sisha but asikhona ngenza bathi bafike basitume ebholeni sizathe ke sidlala ibhola
akasabukiswe naye ukuthi usolva diphi noma futhi setisolvekile akabhalelwe lo MP abuya tosi reportela ukuthi kithi kwaphumelela lokhu nalokhu 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 lokusesele ngilokho ngobe silibala kubaphathisa nje kubaphathi singede sathi ukuthi le phambili kuyanakwa yini ngidophathisa mina ukuthi ngicela ukuthi kunako uhulumende anake singaphika khetha bo MP
lo msebenzi waleli bandwe kuvakashela imimango uchubekile nakuleminye imiphakathi lefaka ekhathi Mpofu Mkhithini nokwane kanye nakalamgabi kuleminye imiphakathi yelive etinzabende yeSwatini TV kubika samkeliswe khoza nginambongwa Dube esiphocosini.
Libandla lelibutha umthelo wabomabonakudze likhala ngabosomabhizinisi labangawulandzela umthetho wekuthengisa abomabonakudze njengoba ke bayalibalekela lelibandla badlala amabhacelana ngekusho kwaNdaba enhle Zwane walelibandla njalo nabafuna ukuthi umthetho ulandzeleke ebhizinisini bayabaleka labosomabhizinisi.
Libandla lelibutha umthelo wabomabonakudze lithi kunabo somabhizinisi laba basebenzisa kabi labangawulandzeli umthetho wekuthengisa bomabonakudze ngekusho kwaNdaba enhle Zwane waloko lelibandla baye babaleke njalo njengoba sewadlalwa amabhacelana kuboke nalabo somabhizinisi lese kubaphocelela ke ukuthi bathathe isinyathelo lesinye lese sitabaphocelela ukuthi bawulandzeleke lo mthetho.
Kukhona labangakhoni lokuthi bese balandzela leyo migomo lebekiwe ukuthi babathengise ifuna bende njani sibese nathi sasatinyathelo sokuthi singabambisana netinkampani letinye tahulumende letibuke kungena kuphuma kwembahla nakangwane sitokwati kulandzelela leto timbahla leto letibalwa ngolomthetho wa 1983 ukuthi leyo mbahla lokumele ukuthi ibe nokubhadalelwa leyo mthelo ikhona ukusilandzelele kulelo hlelo kusho ukuthi nje nabo nokubavakashela ke sibene kukwenda ukuthi leto titolo sabane kutibona ukuthi ngabe ngitiphi hlobo lolato titolo sakukhulumisana nato sethemba ukuthi batawuchubeka nyalo bawulandzelela lo mthetho.
Zwane ukuthi isinyathelo lesilandzelako kutawuba tinkantolo nasolo bangafuni kulandzela umthetho ngalokubhekekile labo somabhizinisi uthi ke sebabakhulumise babancenga kodwa ke solo nani bahlushwa indlebe levako etindzabeni ngengiyani Msebeni Nambongwa Dube sisezulwini.
Takhamuti tendzawo yasekupheleni ngephansi kwenkhundla yasemotshane tisola umphakathi ngekubamuca emahlathi lapho bebakathi bagawula khona tigodvo bese bayathengisa. Indvuna imcuba yakulomphakathi Sidumo Malinzisa uthi sive lesinemahlathi sabitwa ukuthi sitowabhalisela ngako ke emahlathi emphakathi ulawo lasetindzaleni kanye nalawo lasemadlelweni.
Sive lesixoxisene nalomsakathi ngalendzaba yekumucwa emahlathi sibeke kanjena.
Lokwendekile kube nebantfu labanye bakhona ngidani khombisa nasichubeka labe bathengisile bavumelene nalabanye bantfu bathe ke nase babheka imali bathola ukuthi lo ngena fanele babhadale so shayela umthetho ukuthi akabhadale ku account ithide lesite nase ngiyilandzelela wathi leyo account leyo ya reflector ligama lendvuna kani ngicabanga ukuthi bekufanele reflecte ligama lesikhwama sendlunkulu.
Ngathi ngithi siyakhipha naku kwe-6 ton base sebayasuka lapho kuchamuka lamalunga asemphakathini wathi manje asime lapho basuka lapho bathi bayosifuna ecaleni thina ngoba sithengisela lihlathi lemphakathi
lamahlathi ajutshwa bantu bekuhamba sileke sikhala ngalokuthi asifuni amahlathi ajutshwe nabantu bahamba sifuna amahlathi ajutshwe ngilabantwana bendlunkulu.
Indvuna yemcuba yasekupheleni Sidumo Malinzisa uphendvula tinsolo letentiwe takhamuti.
Kodwa-ke lesikufunako umuntu akagawula eshathini lakhe ubhadala imali yesitembu nje le-50 emalangeni bese-ke umuntu noma ngangibani lonemandla wokudiva ukuthi angagawula afune lihlathi kunelibandla lelibuka emahlathi ikakhulu lawo endlunkulu uyaya-ke kulelo bandla wokucela ukuthi ngicela kugawula-ke lehlathi lelilapha emadlelweni bakusalelane naleli bandla ukuthi utawugawula ugcinela ukuze nalabanye abantwana batawugawula.
Indvuna yemcuba emphakathi ekupheleni Sidumo Malinzisa uthi akungasitfusi sive nangabe lenye imali elabasuke bathenga etigodvo itakuye njengalokhu bese uyindlulisele emphakathi etindzabeni ngobika Fortune Dlangamandla ngisekupheleni.
Inhlangano yebantfu labanelibala iStuki Motsa Foundation sayimeme bantfu labanelibala labanemakhono lahlukahlukene kutsi babhalise kuyo kute emakhono abo atiwe njengoba batawusekeleka ngesizumbulu semali kute matfute. Stuki Motsa longumsunguli wayo utsi bahlose kucijisa emakhono lahlukahlukene ebantfu labanelibala.
Umsunguli wenhlangano ye-Stuki Foundation, Stuki Motsa, uthi leli lithuba lokuthi labo labanelibala labanemakhono lahlukahlukene babonakala bativete emakhono abo atiwe eveni. Uthi-ke kungaba ngilabo lesevele batiwa noma ngiloyo-ke lo sesengakaliveti likhono lakhe ukuthi akalisebenzise leli lithuba. Uthi-ke ikhona imali lesevele bayitholile litawubasita basenda njalo ngalawo makhono abo.
Sithole simemo la kubosaziwayo laba kuthuthukisa emakhono ekuhlabeleni bo DJ ma broadcast basho ke bathi bacela ukuthi sithole ekakhulu besifazane laba phila nelibala batokhona lokho ukuthi babasite kubathuthukisa emakhono abo. Si kubukwe wonke umumfu lonelikhono losavela losacatfuta nalosavela ahamba kuyane so that batokhona lokho ukuthi babasite batokhona kwatiwa eveni nasemhlabeni wonke. Itawubasita kwecala ngekuthi ithuthukise emakhono abo iphindze ibanike imali letawukhona lokho ukuthi bakhone ukutiphilisa ngaleyo mali nemindeni yabo.
Uthi-ke batawatiswa nasekulungile konke kwanyalo ababhalise batiwe kuyo-ke inhlangano etindzabeni ngengiyani Msibina Mbongwadube sisembabane.
Libandla letemvelo i-Eswatini Environment Authority seletfule lithulusi lwetebuchwephesha lelitawubuka-ke lilandzelele ekugcinwane kulondvolozwa kwetipi lelatiwa ngekutsi yi-Waste Management Information System. Lokhu kuvetwe ngumchumanisi wetemvelo kuleli bandla belusile Mhlanga.
I-Waste Management Information System lelinye lemathuluzi lesilisebenzisako njengoba njena sisasebenta yona indzaba yetipi ikhona ukuthi bantu labahlukahlukene kufaka ikhathi bomasipala labo labenta bo-recycling bakhone ukuthi basiniketeke i-data ngetibi labatitsintsako letigcina tilahliwe letigcina ti-recyclishekile lokusho ukuthi itasisita silive kokuthi sikhone kuchamuka-ke netisombululo njengoba sati nje kokuthi live lisemkhankasweni kokuthi live lakangwane kube ngilelo lihlala lihlandekile ngaso sonke isikhathi. Lenye yetindlela-ke noma yetimvu leti-informa lama-interventions lesibese siyawenda ngolokwadi kokuthi letibi letikituta kovele tinganani kuze kufike nalapho khona sesikhuluma nangalo hlobo lwaletibi ukuthi kona tilihlobo luni njengoba sathi nje kokuthi live ikakhulukati liphokophele kuyo indzaba yasekhula economy and lenye-ke tindzawo lapho khona isebenta khona kukuyindzaba yetibi legcina setilahliwe. Lo thuluzi-ke lethu-ke litabasebentela kakhulu kahle bomasipala njengoba nabo batawukhona kuphindze bayisebentise le data labatabe bayifake kithi ngoba nawo ukufika nje kulo lelithuluzi liyakhona kokuthi ligcine seli-aggregate le data ligcine mhlambe selikunikise netinkhomba ngokuthi ngitiphi letikhiciteke ngebuningi phindze futhi liyakhona nokukutshela-ke wena-ke lo ngumuntu njena lo wakala kangwane lo ufise kokuthi tibi takho letingathi tingema-recyclables ungadilahli kokuthi ngutiphi tindzawo lapho khona ungathola khona abantu labathatha tibi letingema-recyclables.
Libandla letemakhono nemasiko i-Eswatini National Council of Arts and Culture seliyincephetele labo labangakaphumeleli emchudzelwaneni wetingoma tenkholo i-Rising Star Talent Search ngekutsi-ke barekhode idemo yetingoma tabo. Duduzo Mathe longilomunye walabalungiseleli lomchudzelwano uthi bayasibonga lesinyathelo njengoba siyabakhutsata lebebangenele lomchudzelwano.
Kufika emaphethelweni kwemchudzelwano wekuhlabela tingoma tenkholo kubone likhono lelinengi futsi-ke lelihle kubantwana bemaswati ingane bakhona-ke babili lesevele baklongelisiwe lekungibona-ke bahambe embili. nanoma-ke sevele bakhona-ke lesebawinile inhlangano yitemakhono nemasiko ye-Eswatini National Council of Arts and Culture ibona ukuthi nalabo laba-14 lebangakaphumeleli bathole umthobanhliziyo wokurekhoda emademo emculo wabo kulandzela ukuthi libe likhulu impela lithalente lelibonakele basechutzelene. Nduduzo Mathelo ngulomunye walabalungiseleli lomcimbi lophindze abe ngumhlabeleli ohamba embili kuleli ukuthi libe likhulu kakhulu likhono labalibonile.
Waphindze futhi ke uhulumende wasendela involenhle lapho khona laba lebadliwe asisho njalo labangabe ngakhona ukuphumelela labangu14 uhulumende wathi sawutawuvele abarekhode bona emademo abo mahala ha lekuyinvo lenkulu kakhulu kithi sibahlabeleli siyathanda ukudumisa kakhulu lokho nekubonga ku-arts and culture wethu bekuthi asendele info lenhle kakhulu kangaka nakudumisa ke laba labaphumelela ababili bontando yenkosi engcamphalala kanye nagcebile Nkambule lesitabe sibarekhoda futhi mhla ka-29 April yena wona lo njengoba wine nje recording deal ne-marketing deal.
Uthi-ke laba-14 sebakulelinye lizinga ekuhlabeleni kwabo kangangobe nebahlabeleli laba bosaziwayo batawuhlabela nabo etingomeni tabo. Babukeleke bangawubukela lo mchuthelwano wala bahlabeleli kusukela ekucaleni khona-ke emsakatweni Eswatini TV ngemsombuluko etindzabeni ngiyingena emsebeni Mbongwa Dube sisangwane Park.
Kutemidlalo inhlangano lengamele umdlalo we-table tennis kuleli ihlanganyele naletinye tinhlangano letingamele lomdlalo emhlabeni kugubhala usuku lwalomdlalo emhlabeni lolwatiwa nge-World Table Tennis Day lapho khona sive sitfolele ithuba lekudlala lomdlalo kwekucala. Le nhlangano igubhele usuku esikolweni lesincane saka-Boys eMbabane.
Lilanga lekugubha lusuku lwemidlalo we-table tennis lolugujwa njalo ngeminyaka kusukela ngeminyaka 2015 lapho khona kulomnyaka losetulu umnyaka 2023 bekuhlonishwa loyo lowaqala kudlalisa umdlalo omgcudzelane noma World Championships eminyaka 1926 longu-Eva Montogu. Phezulu longumengameli walenhlangano lapha even uthi bayinhlangano nabo bakubona kufanele ukuthi bangagubha lolu suku.
Si-proud ngalo ukuthi umhlaba usirecognizile ukuthi as Eswatini Table Tennis Association singaba part of the 38 countries la chuziwe la kulamanye emave ukuthi abambe lo msebenzi. Lokunye ke lesiqhenya ngako utawubona nawe vele abantu baningi labete lapha msakati lelo lusuku lethu lokuqala kangwane ukuthi sende lo msebenzi lo. So sinathi nje siyajabula nesupport lesiyitholile siphinde sibonge ke nalaba sitile bosomabhizinisi laba sitile ukuthi sibambe lo msebenzi msakati.
Kanzi badlala abahlukahlukene balomdlalo bathola lithuba lokudlala kanzi nalabo labangatanga sebadlale lo mdlalo bathola lithuba lokudlala lokuqala lo mdlalo. Lobikela umsakade Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini eMbabane.
Man. Tingako-ke tindzaba talapha ekhaya talomuhla sabahlala emakethe uma sibuya sichubeka nelihlelo.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Asebenze sinemukele siyakuvusela nawe losanza kuzivulela lo mhla ehlelweni Kusile breakfast show besivedile basingena ehlelweni ukuthi sidabe sikhulumisana na head of fraud department emaphoyiseni babe Nicholas Jele sikhuluma yona indzaba nje lenkulu kade ukuthi live leSwatini kusukela nga-April 2022 ya ku March lo mnyaka losetulu ilahlekelwe imali lenganga 4 million emalangeni through cyber crimes cyber crime ke lawa lefaka ekhathi online shopping theft by false pretense kanye nema online investments sathi ukuthi cyber crime ayisiyinkinga lapha ekhaya eSwatini kuphela kodwa ke nasemhlabeni wonke nje emavela amaningi abhekene nayo mibiko uyaveda kene ukuthi kune estimation yokuthi icyber crime ibita isifundza seAfrica imali lenganga 4 billion US dollars and it is also estimated that it costs the South African economy 500 million US dollars a year livekele Nigeria kubika ukuthi lona icosta 500 million US dollars kanye neKenya 36 million US dollars kepha ke sifuna ukuva kuye babetshele ukuthi ngabe imali engaka 4 million emalangeni ilahleke kanjani lapha ekhaya eSwatini within a space of 12 months asekuvusele babetshele sabanga ukuthi benathi nomhlahlelweni I think nje indzaba lenkulu vele 4 million emalangeni imali eningi lena I think kuyiningi imitamo leniyendako kuzama kufundisa abantu ngecyber crime kufundisa abantu ukuthi bangadivikela kanjani ukuthi bangabi mhlambe ama victims alokucala lokho ingabe imali engaka nje lahleke kanjani babetshela
Sibonge kakhulu Dzadzewethu sivusele nakuye umbukele ekhaya liqiniso ukuthi le mali vele is on the high side uma uyibuka silivela seSwatini mhlawumbe tikhona indledlana letithithe lesitawudibalula namuhla letende kwekuthi mhlawumbe le mali igcine ilahlekile kokuqala nje lokusivisa abhlungu kakhulu nanasi lokusithinzako singemaswati singemaphoyisa futhi kwekuthi kunemali lelahlekako ekakhulu kade kubantu labadzala lase bathatha imhlala phasi uma bathatha imhlala phasi labantu laba imali tabo bese bayakubana lokucabanga ukuthi ngabe ngayi-investa kuphi bese bayafuna ke labantu labadzala kungendeka mhlawumbe bangene ku Google badame kufuna ukuthi ngabe bangati-investa kuphi imali tabo lapho mhlawumbe kutaba nema returns lasetulu khona bese bakhanza ukuthi ke kukhona vele lama sites labekiwe lacishiwe acishelwe kuthenini mhlawumbe vele abantu labanjalo labanesidingo soku-investa online bagcine sebabanjwe kulolo gibelolo kuyenteka ke ukuthi labantu bagcine sebabambekile vele kulolo gibelolo batifake leti mali kubhlungu kakhulu ke Dzadzewethu kubona umuntu omdzala losasebentile wasebentela leli vile eMaswati egcineni kwako konke lokho ebekusebentela bese kuyalahleka ngalendlela lokulahleka ngayo kulolo hlangothi nje singacela Dzadzewethu lokho ukuthi eMaswati akithi amanasi siside uma ngabe asa decide ngoba siyathi kona ukuthi kulungelo lakhe wonke umuntu lophila kweSwatini ukuthi invest lapho afisa khona kodwa noma kulungelo lakhe kuyasithinza sinemaphoyisa ngoba uma ngabe sokulahleke le mali yakhe lo ekunene labethi uyayi-investa mhlawumbe online lengingakubita mine ngamabomu ami ukuthi uinvesta kubomahamba ngendlwana ngoba indzawo longayati nekuthi kuphi awukake wathi hluphe encenye nekuphenya nangayo kwekuthi ingabe vele kuliciniso inlento singawacela ke Maswati lokho ukuthi thina emaphoyisa li desk la ka cyber crime livule etandla bekunene kwekuthi likhone kubasita abantu uma ngabe nje umuntu asa decide ukuthi mhlawumbe kukhona le site lafuna kuinvesta kilo online akavele ete kuleli desk angakahambisi imali yakhe ayise lapho mhlawumbe afuna kuinvesta khona acele ukuthi manje nathi simbukise ngoba siswati lesihle nebekunene sithi emehlo lamabili abonisana sekuyakhona mhlawumbe nathi sikhone kufaka tethu tipopolo khona lapha online sipatrol online siyochecka leyo ndzawo la cabanga ukuthi mhlawumbe ngainvesta kiyo bese sesiyakhona ukuthi mhlawumbe sibe nedeluleko lesingamniketa tona noma umuntu singeke simshayele umthetho ukuthi akendeni akangentini kodwa singameluleka abese ke uthatha sinqumo lesiphusile ekulandzela leto deluleko mhlawumbe lesimnikete tona lenye ke indlela Dzadzewethu njengoba ubudile nje thithi lahle kanjani leti mali kulesinye isikhathi futhi ke tiyalahleka kulaba labathengako online nakhona lapho sibonile kuphakama kwetinombolo debantu labathenga online sebalahlekelwa esikhathini esiningi nje lokuvamile la event lakithi laseSwatini kwekuthi ukhanje ukuthi kunema commodities noma kunetinto leti advertisewako mhlawumbe kuma social media platforms njengabo Facebook nalokunye and nase abonilekelwe kunene kwekuthi vele kuya advertisewa digulumba encenye nangabe digulumba ngema trucks nangabe ngema trucks noma dimotolo bese so uyathatheka ke lwekunene nasathathekile so uyakhona ukuchumana nalabantu ngco bavame esikhathini esiningi bese bathi nayi inombolo yethu ya WhatsApp lesingakhona ukuchumana ngayo nangabe mhlawumbe une interest so ya WhatsApp ke vele uyaba WhatsApp la sebakuphendula ngoba vele bahlala bagadzile nase bakuphendula ke sibavele bakuheha ke indlela lenkulu ke mhlambe labaheha ngayo sive nguleke ukuthi behlise lamanani aledinto labatithengisako lokungaba digulumba lokungaba ngema trucks noma yini longayicabanga bawehlisela amanani abe unbelievably low ngabeka kanjalo abe phasi kakhulu kangangokuba vele uthi khanze ukuthi hey ku irresistible lento nabani abone ukuthi no it's so lucrative ngangene kulento ngiyithenge ibargain le ngitholako kanzi sowuvele ungena kiso lesifo labasichiphile lababekunene singacela ke nalapho eMaswatini kwekuthi kwekucala nje lobona ngako kwekuthi kungendeka kube lapha kunenkinga uma ngabe lelinani lalento lofuna kuyithenga liphasi ngalendlela lengakholwakala vele kungcono ungalikholwa ngoba le ndlela eliphasi ngayo lisho kwekuthi noma kanjani dama ngato tonke indlela afforda ekukhipha imali uthenge lento leyo kanti so uyalimala ngekwenta njalo bethembisa futhi dzadzewethu baze befike esigabeni sekwekuthi batakulethela nasegedeni bende kwekuthi vele wena uthi khanze u stress free kule commodity lofuna kuyithenga ukuthi ngidawulethelwe egedeni lo udeliverwa bakubalele ama cost bakusendele mhlambe ne-invoice leta kukhombisa ukuthi cha vele thine sinje nayi proforma invoice yethu utawubhadala imali engaka imali lesisitakulethela ngayo lo tayibhadala ingaka uyikholwe lento egcineni kwako konke la uyihambisa le mali uyabathe so uyabathinta labekunene ungabusabathola ngiko ke sicela vele siveni seMaswati bekunene ukuthi sitimisele asifisi ukuthi eMaswati alahlekelwe imali etiningi kangaka bekunene imali ilikhuni kulamalanga langa siphuma esimeni lesimadima dzadzewethu sabo covid vele imali ilikhuni isikasi kulamalanga ngale ndlela ke siyacela ukuthi sive seMaswati vele uma ngabe kukhona lapho sesithatheke khona ukuthi kumbe sifuna kuthenga asimane sibe nesiciniseko sekwekuthi uma ngabe kulukhuni mhlawumbe kufika kithi njengemaphoyisa ungakayicommit imali hamba uhlale phansi na banker wakho nikhulumisane ukuthi uyathi kufuna kunento lengifuna kuyithenga ngalendlela le nanaye wekunene utati nika isikhathi banker wakho ukuthi afake ipopolo takhe abone kwekuthi ingabe vele le account lofaka kiyo lena is it not a personal account yini ngoba esikhathini esiningi ukhanza kwekuthi kuthiwa i-company name la sokufaka i-account number yaleyo nkampani purported ukuthi yaleyo nkampani only to find ukuthi naso uyifakile le mali ingene ku-individual le individual account ingene kumuntu nabo ke bekunene basebhange butanda bativulile vele ukuthi bawaside eMaswati bekunene kuze kwekuthi singachubeki silahlekelwe ngalendlela lesilahlekelwa ngayo.
Okay, ngifuna ukubuta nje babetshelwe ukuthi uvete inzabalane ukuthi one of lama reasons ukuthi le mali inyuke bengaka ngilama scams lebekendeka online ukuthi I think uvete nje nzabe ukuthi vele ama victims kube ngibe bampla abadala. Ngifuna ukubuta lokuthi lama online investments kuba yini kahle kumbe ngabe inkampani advertiser online ukuthi faka imali itawukhula kanjena kuba yini kahle lama online investments vele.
Siyabonga dzadzewethu kungaze nje kube naleli gama la investment kusho kona kwekuthi ufaka imali emva kwaloko itabe seseyiyakhula seyikulethela emathole noma ke itawutala emathole esikhathini lesinengi ke baye babeke lamathole abo nakhona abe unbelievably high nawubuka mathematically ukuthi uyadi lento lena angiboni kude nelibhangi lelingakofferisha lokho bese ke vele uyathengeka ke so uyahuheka uyangena kuloko so uyainvesta nawe so ngiko ke dzadzewethu sithi esikhathini lesiningi nje lesibukhanzile ukuthi ku on the rise kulamalanga kwekuthi abantu labadzala la sibathethe umhlala phansi ngoba baba naleso zizumbulu inkampani lebabonga ngaso ukuthi sebasebenzile balisebenzela lelive bayisebenzela lenkampani faithfully and nekwethembeka lokukhulu sibabongwa ke lokho labashaykhwa ngako sandla so uyabuka kumuntu omdzala ukuthi ngabe ngakufihla kuphi lapho ukutaba nemankonyane khona so ugcina ke ungena kule tifu ke letethiwako online kwekuthi mhlambe agcine angene khona ngekuthi utawubuka ukuthi le ntalo noma lenzuzo iba setulu kakhulu awube kunene mina bengingacela eMaswatini kwekuthi kungcono ku-investor lapho wadi khona kunekuthi utawu-investor la ungadi khona and lokhu lengakubita sibo mahamba nendlwana ngoba awukwati namhla utathi kula kusasa kusekho lento ngako singacela eMaswatini bekunene ukuthi awu imali lesiyisebenzele iminyaka leminyende kuze siyothatha umhlala phansi asimane sibe nesiciniseko sokuthi la siyifaka khona kuphephile.
Ibe khona ini breakthrough nje babetshele kiwo onke nje lama cases lawo labikiwe kukhona mhlambe leyo mali lenikhonile kuyithola back kuleto tigange letigange bonke labamflaba.
Siyabonga dzadzewethu lesikwendako nangabe kusho ukuthi lo victim noma loyo lo hanjelwe imali yakhe asheshe wakhona kubika emaphoyiseni nasebhange lakhe ngoba noma ungefika ebhange nakhona bafike bathi gijima emaphoyiseni siyakhona kwekuthi bese senda incwadi lethide sendela lelibhange lakho leli bhange lakho ke litabe seliyakhona ukuxhumana nemabhange langale la ingene khona le mali kwekuthi le mali ihambe ngendlela le fraudulent bese ke sebayibamba le mali. Kepha ke lokho kubita ukuthi litubane libe setulu asheshe lo victim abone lokho ukuthi mhlawumbe kunemali le mali kungenteka kube ingilahlekela abike masinyane ngoba wephuta uthola usivele le digila mkhuba setiyikhiphile le mali kulela livelela sekuyawuba luphenyo ke loludzeke lolufake ekhathi mhlawumbe the two countries kwekuthi mhlawumbe abambisane kuze loye kunene kumbe abuye aye emthethweni awubhekana nemacala akhe.
So leti gange kuba bantfu bala Eswatini noma mhlambe kuba bantfu nje laba all over the world. Kuze ngibuta ukuthi kuna nawo ma links sometimes labaye bakusendele wona khona nje lengake ngayithola bayithi Central Bank ikwinisa imali ngena kunayi link naye but bobona nje ukuthi hayi khona lokungahambi kahle la so kuye kube bantfu bakuphi nje bala Eswatini South Africa noma international nje kuba bantfu bakuphi vele kuvame kakhulu kuphi.
Siyabonga Tsatewethu vele indzaba ye cyber it cuts across the world. Ku international bakhona baseSwatini iqiniso lelo laba kwendako lokho lesikhuluma ngakho bakhona ke nalaba ngaphandle kwaleli vele laseSwatini. Lokho lokubita kwekuthi Tsatewethu emave emhlaba abambisane ngelizinga lelisetulu vele kuze kwekuthi sithe ukhona kwekuthi siyinyathelele indzaba ye cyber crime ngoba it knows no borders and ihamba emaveni lakhashana ngalesi sikhathi noma ke abomakhelwane kuyendeka kodwa naseSwatini bakhona vele laba kwendako lokutsatewethu.
So bakuthola kanjani nje babejele labamfu laba ba decide nje ukuthi okay namhla ngitageta lungelele ngilama details ami lengwafaka mhlambe nangena bo social media noma mhlambe ba hacker i-account yami bathola kanjani ukuthi namhla sifuna nangilungelele sifuna ukuthatha ukudla imali yalungelele sitawuthola ama details akhe benda kanjani nje.
Tsatewethu vele sesiphila ku information age kuleti insuku lesiphila kito. Information yethu iyatholakala kubo Facebook iyatholakala etindzaweni etinyenti bese batama ke kuhlola ababekunene ukuthi ngabe lungelele usebenta kuphi. Oh no, it's a professional employee waseswatini TV ukhona lesingakuthola kuye. Ngiko ke ngithi Tsatewethu vele information itholakala noma ngabe ngikuphi umuntu angetaba specific ukuthi ngikuphi lapho bangayithola khona but esikhathini esiningi akuvami ukuthi basebenzise indlela yokuhacka kuba indlela yokuthola that information abayitholako ngaleyo ndlela abangayithola ngayo bese sebayisebenzisa ke nangabe batargete individual kuyendeka vele bakutargete individual uzumangala kibo nje labantu labazala Tsatewethu labathatha imhlala phasi asathi information bayithola kuphi bekunene kusivisa abhlungu lokho ngoba bavele bakutshele ne-ID yakho bakutshele konke nekuthi engcenye uretire nini bese bakutshela ukuthi naku lapho ungafihla khona leto timali takho kuze tibe nemathole lamanendi ngesikhashana lesincane nawe ke phele ngoba nase uthatha umhlala phasi iba khona lengcondo lethi hey lizinga lempilo bengilibeke lapha selitakwehla kufuna ngitame ukuthi ngilisupport ngalokwa nangendlela mhlambe lengafihla ngayo imali yami so uyaheheka ke kalula kanjalo ngakho singacela nje Tsatewethu ukuthi sive semaswathi sibambise kuthenini noma ngabe usebenta kuliphi office ngoba vele sisebenza ngeinformation yebantu kungabi lula ukuthi information yebantu uyidayise uyiniketela abanye abantu longabadi ukuthi bobani abantu baniketako kulesinye isikhathi Tsatewethu kubuhlungu bake bahambe laba bekunene baye emakhaya kubantu labadzala emidini lehluphekako bakhanze gogo lomdzala lena ngiyabekisa nje lolunye ihlangothi lwe-cyber crime lolwendekako nabamkhanza logogo lomdzala bafike bamthembise noma bamnikete 1000 emalangeni noma 2000 emalangeni bathi bacela i-ID yakhe bayithathe i-ID yalogogo bahambe bawenda vela ngaye nabenda lo vela bathole lekhadi as if lelikhadi lalogogo emva kwaloko sengitona tinombolo leti yawushayele bantfu tendelo kwanalokwa didame kudosa imali kubantu nathi aphenye emaphoyisa athole kwekuthi akhanza gogo lomdzala lo vele ubone nje isigogo is incapable of kuganga ngalendlela lekwendeke ngayo lentuli achaze gogo kwefika abantu lapha mntwanami bathi bangithengela igrosa noma banginika naku nami ke vele ngabanika lokho labakufunako ngakholwa ukuthi mhlawumbe into lephila kulaba ishuku kanti bawuganga ngalokho so Tsatewethu yinenge vele indlela abantu labathola ngayo information singacela esiveni semaswati bekunene kwekuthi information yethu siyigcine nekwekuthi ke ne trash yethu siyinake lapho silahla khona tintfo kukhona abantu labalahla konje nabo pay slip babo ukhanze sowufakile ku trash ufakile kum dustbin ulahlile lapha yi gold mine yabo leyo bayifika bacheke le dustbin bathole leyo information yakho labayitholako sebangakutargeta ke noma ngayiphi indlela uthi khanze vele sewusungishekile noma sowulimele so i victim yebucala becyber.
Hayi imcoka kanele yekulahla ma receipts emgcomeni bayabutha nakhona bathole le information labayifunako.
Kunjalo sisi ngikongibekisa nje ukuthi i-trash i-gold mine yabo. Lapho bathi khona ukuthi batawuthola i-information. Lobo ungacabanga wena ukuthi umuntu mhlambe angayigubha lapho ayithole leyo information leyo ebese uyayisebenzisa against you.
So itinkampani tona tisengotini lenganani babetshela yes bokhuluma ngema individuals ingabe tona tinkampani nato tiphephe kanganani tike tavelelwa yini ngetihlakalo leti nje tekwebelwa imali.
Kuliqiniso dzadzewethu noma kungesiko lokusedule tinkampanini kodwa ke kuyendeka tinkampanini nibekise nje lokuvame kakhulu ukuthi uthole ukuthi inkampani bayathi mhlambe ukuthi iyathenga isupply into letithide bese sebaya i-emailela leyo nkampani bayitshela ukuthi thina sitawudzinga emaphampu emanti langaka kuphi sine project lenkulu bayisho le project ehlanzeni ledzinga emaphampu emanti ledzinga emabhoho ledzinga whatever nje lokuthinza leyo nto leyo. Uma ungasisupplya ngako lokhu wena yokunene sivele usithengele kona usisupply sitakubhadala kahle abathi uyabuka umuntu bese ke bafaka ilink kule email le link nakabe ayiclicka lo wenkampani ibese imniketa mhlawumbe indzawo lapho angathenga khona letinto aticuphe khona bese uyabuta obasupply laba bekunene once wangena kuleyo link leyo seyitakubuta ke tinto letinengi letakubuta tona noma ke so ugcina vele uyethemba ukuthi hayi kusho vele ngicupha khona la kanzi are the same people elaba perpetuate the same kind of criminality so uyesuka lapho uyayithatha imali uyayihambisa inkampani tivame kuba nema victims etinfeni letinje ngaleto ticabanga ukuthi it's a business deal kanzi akusi business deal kahle kahle lugibe lwekugcina kuhambele leto imali nase bayifakile ke leyo mali sokuphelile sebakhathi communication labo ekunene sebabathe sebefike emaphoyiseni sekuvele kulate nale mali sebayithethe ngale ngakho singaticela nato tinkampani bekunene ukuthi uma ngabe kunekuthenga lokunje noma ke kunema emails la qhamuka ngalolu hlobo lolu bekunene awu vele ucabanga sibangisukele ngani mina ukuthi akube ngimi lo ayonda lawo ma supplies lango bese uyaqala nawe wenda i-background check yalabo bantu lokuthiwa kumele uba supply ungakaklik any link mhlawumbe leqhamukako kuleyo email bekunene asibe skeptical vele ekutheni siklik ema links lesingawadi ngoba lokho kuyawusifaka etinkingeni letinenge.
Ngifuna ukubuta nje babetshelele ukuthi ingabe nasibuka nje nanibuka leti nombolo noma ke ama cases labikiwe nale mali lelahlekile lo 4 million nasibuka nje mhlambe kuleminye iminyaka nanibuka inyukile le mali noma yehlile noma solo yafanana nje solo yalingana.
Dzadzewethu umuntu angasho ukuthi ngenhlanhla lembi sikhanza ukuthi le mali iyenyuka umnyaka ngeminyaka lokusho ukuthi lokho vele ngoba siyathi ukuthi letindzaba tabo cyber leti tiya ngekunjinja buso iminyaka ngeminyaka time after time ayashintsha indlela basebenta ngato so ngako sithi siyacela Steven Semaswati ukuthi vele akube indzaba lesicaphela sibili nekwekuthi ke phela dzadzewethu senda tonke taba singemaphoyisa embube ekuthenini mhlawumbe sifike kiso sive mhlawumbe silethe ticwayiso letitsite mane ke ngenhlanhla lembi bantfu labanengi uqala kwethuka akukhumbule ngalesicwayiso nase avictimizekile noma nase kunguye lona lose alimele siyacela bekunene ukuthi icwayiso letinje ngalethi singadibukele khashana kungabi sengathi mhlawumbe ngemacala nje langa angikhohlwa ngalenye ilanga dzadzewethu ngikhuluma kulenye indzawo ngasinangehla lapha estage ekukhulumeni lo munye umuntu eliswati la ngitshela ukuthi ejele lento lokhuluma ngayo maqale belungu lawa yinto lengekho lakithi awu bekunene lo mcondo loyo sicela kubeka khashane yinto lelakithi vele dinkinga tindzaba letenteka nakithi eSwatini siyawanxusa emaswati bekunene ngebubele baNkulunkulu atame ukuthi lalela leto cwayiso ngabe tentiwa ngithi singemaphoyisa ngabe tentiwa noma ke leminye imikhakha mhlawumbe lephumile umkhankaso nawe kwekuthi ucwayiswe sive ngendzaba yecyber bekunene siyacela ukuthi ithathwe serious leto tindzaba leso otherwise sitawulimala siphele ngoba i-technology ishintsha by the day.
Yeah, so lo sise lapho nje kucwayiseni sive samaswati babetshele ngabe ngimaphi nje mhlawumbe ama transactions lesingawenda online la safe la secure abantu abaningi bayakuthanda kwenda i-shopping yabo online abanye bayakuthanda kwenda i-online banking ingabe vele mhlawumbe ngutiphi letimvu letiphephile lesingadenda nasebenzisa bona lobuchwepheshe.
Siyabonga dzadzewethu online banking iphephile kakhulu ngasicinisekisa sive semaswati usuke so une app yalelo bhange lakho kuba lula lokuthi vele uhambise tindzaba takho and ku-encrypted letinto kulukhuni ukuthi umuntu mhlawumbe angapenetrate abone. Kepha ke noma uyenda leyo online banking yakho ngingacela ngisixwayise sive semaswati ukuthi simane sikugweme ku-transactor online, whether uyabhadala noma mhlawumbe wenda yona i-banking yakho online, kwekuthi usingakwendi on free Wi-Fi. Sizathu saloko bekunene vele lamathabela ngodi avamile kwekuthi alale lubule lapha kuleti kuma free Wi-Fi ngoba bayathi kwekuthi thina siyatithanza into letishiphile, uyabona vele konga into lesiyifunako sonke kude lungakufuni konga sesiyangena lapha kuma free Wi-Fi siyasebenta kanzi nanabo bacuphe ngakhona ngalapho. Nangabe sowufuna ku-transactor online financially kumele kwekuthi uphume ku free Wi-Fi umane usebenzise i-data yakho na kunene usebenzise mhlawumbe ke noma leyo app yakho yasebhange bese uyakhona ke ukuthi transactela kahle online ngedata yakho ngoba lokho kuphephile. Kodwa lokusebenzisa letindlela letishiphile tabo free Wi-Fi awube kunene siyacela emaswatini ukuthi asimane sikwegweme lokho.
Yona wayithinza vele lenye labalekile babachile yona le free Wi-Fi vele yona iphephe kanganani nje because in my first world countries vele ngisho uhambela nje edolobheni kune free Wi-Fi kune Wi-Fi everywhere. Ingabe yona iphephe kanganani nje ukuthi bangakhona ukukheka iphephe kanganani vele yona?
Dzadzewethu ngiteka lendzaba kwekuthi indzaba ye free Wi-Fi vele asitame kuyigwema uma ngabe sesitransactor financial. Uma sithi cocela tindzaba tethu senda lokwa nalokwa lokunye lokungasi financially inclined singakwenda. Yes, kodwa uma ngabe sesitransactor financial ngiyacela bekunene kwekuthi vele sikugweme lokho ngoba tikhona vele tingoti tekwekuthi ugcine uhackekile uma ngabe utransactor kuma free Wi-Fi financial. Lokho kungakufaka mhlambe tingoti letithide, kodwa nangabe ubuye ku-data yakho kuyawuba ngcono na kunene.
Yeah, sesiyangasemphathelweni nje babetshela ngifuna ukubuta lenye lebalekile futhi indzaba ukuthi mabhange anawo ma details ethu, anawo information yethu ngema accounts ethu. Kepha ke nasekutawushayo umphathi ushaye ebhange ethide ucela i-account number yakho, acele ne-pin yakho. Ingabe vele lokho usuke vele obviously kusuke kusigebengu. Ingabe sifuna singazivikela kanjani kona qinisese ukuthi asifoli victim kulobutsotsi lobo?
Sisi, that's a brilliant question. Kumcoka kakhulu lokho bekunene ukuthi sikusho esiveni semaswati. Bekunene kuyendeka kube nemathabela ngodi vele la shaya ende ngazuthi asebhange lakho akutshele kwekuthi mhlawumbeni isinikede naku nanaku ngibekise bathi is-update ema accounts lapha ebantu vele siyacela kwekuthi nanawe sikushayele ngoba siyabona ukhashane lokwa nalokho abakusho labangakusho bakuconvince bese ke sebakubuta ke ukuthi awu ithini i-account number yakho kodwa ithi baqale ngale nombolo i-account yelibhange ima account yelibhange vele atiwa nabana ngakwathi lokho bese ke wena so uyagcetsela uyamniketa ngale uthi awuchavele usebenza ebhange lami lo muntu uyamnika le account yakho agcine futhi kulesinye isikhathi uma ungakacapheli akubute ngisho your pin number ukhanze so uyamniketa because wena ubelieve ukuthi udila nemuntu lo sebhange. Bekunene asichaze ngalokusebaleni kwekuthi vele libhange lakho ngeke lize likubude ema details akho noma imininingwane yakho yekubhanga ikubute online likubute virtually noma ngekushaya licingo ngeke kusekwendeke lokho nebekunene. Na kanjani libhange lakho nangabe kukhona leli ku-update la kuna litakuthumelela lo mlayeto likutshele usibuya ebhange uto update i-account yakho naku lokudzingekile ngeke kwendeke bekunene sasilinike isiqiniseko sive semaswati ukuthi once umuntu washaya vele wathi usebhange lakho wakubuta imininingwane yakho le financial vele wathi nje ukuthi la I'm dealing with a criminal.
Okay, bosibonga kakhulu babetshele sethemba ukuthi maswati lamaningi uningi la kufundzile kule interview lesethemba ukuthi siphinde sibe nayo futhi ehlelweni sichubeke nje siyiteka kabanti yona indzaba ye cyber crime. It's 10 minutes before 7 asibasho emakethe sitabuya nama international news.
Using an ATM is a simple process. You simply insert your card, punch in your PIN, and withdraw your cash. However, this simple process can open up you and your finances to some dangers. So it is very important that you proceed with caution when using the ATM and never share your PIN. When approaching the ATM, it is very important that you have your card ready, either in your hand or in your pocket, so that you do not waste time going through your belongings, either your wallet or your handbag, as this will give opportunities for thieves to act. Thirdly, put your money away immediately. Don't give anyone an opportunity to grab your cash or your card after a withdrawal. Lastly, always take your receipt after each and every transaction. It is important that you get your slip after every transaction because it contains crucial information about your balances, and that may lead you to be a victim of bolandela. Be cyber aware, be cyber smart.
Good morning and welcome back. It's 7 o'clock. Let's take a look at international news. The U.S. announced on Saturday that it had temporarily closed its Khartoum embassy and launched a military operation to extract its personnel and their families. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, meanwhile, pledged to assist U.S. civilians in the country. Washington also said that no mass evacuation is currently being planned. In addition, France on Sunday announced that it had begun evacuating its citizens and diplomatic staff.
A desperate rush to flee the country. In these images, Saudi diplomats, officials, and others leave Sudan for Jeddah via boat on Friday night. Saturday saw the U.S. announce it had temporarily closed its Khartoum embassy and launched a military operation to extract its personnel and their families. While Secretary of State Antony Blinken pledged to assist American civilians in the country, Washington says no mass evacuation is currently being planned. Sunday brought news that France has begun evacuating its citizens and diplomatic staff. Sudanese civilians, meanwhile, are mounting their own attempts to flee the country with no guarantee of success.
Bus tickets are very expensive. I come from Abri. I leave early in the morning. The ticket price is about 10 euros, but when I want to return home, the ticket price is 40 euros.
A three-day ceasefire agreed for the Eid holiday quickly broke down over the weekend. Fighting between Sudan's regular army, led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the country's Rapid Support Forces militia, led by his former deputy, Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, has already left more than 400 dead and thousands wounded. For now, the two rival factions have ruled out any negotiated settlement.
Civilians in the Sudanese capital of Khartoum are caught in the middle of fighting between rivalry military factions. Suspected jihadists carry out deadly attack on Russian military camp in Mali.
As rival military factions continue fighting, parts of Sudan's capital city of Khartoum are on fire. Most residents are sheltering in place, while those who can flee the city are doing so. Anas Mohammed, a student from White Nile State in the south, is leaving. He says that his neighbor was shot and bullets were flying into his home, forcing him to run.
There is no safe place in the capital now, so we are forced to leave. We wish peace and safety for those who are still going to stay in Khartoum and that no harm will happen to them. We pray for them, but I think it is better for them to leave for their safety.
The fighting in Sudan stems from a 2019 coup that ousted former leader Omar al-Bashir. At the center of that coup were two Sudanese military groups, one led by General Abdel Fattah Burhan and the other by General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, known as Hemeti, head of the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. The two led another coup in 2021, ousting the democratically elected prime minister and suspending the constitution. Since then, promises for a peaceful transition to a civilian government have been overshadowed by tensions between the two over who would lead a consolidated military. Those tensions led to a violence that erupted earlier this month.
They had been playing us as though they were partners in trying to build a transition, when in fact they were doing everything they could to thwart the transition.
The former Sudanese ambassador to the U.S. says the generals should prioritize the people they are serving.
Stop the war, protect civilians, and provide the necessary humanitarian assistance. And then, of course, try to put pressure on the belligerents to accept the return to a normal state. What for us means a civilian government.
In the meantime, residents seek safety as many face power outages and dwindling water and food supplies.
We are looking for a safe place to shelter us in the absence of water and food in the difficult situations we are currently living in. We ask God to be kind to us.
Some civilians are desperate for any news about the cause of the fighting and prospects for peace.
From the beginning of these events, we as civilians did not know what to do. We do not know the truth about the party that controls matters.
And appeals for help are coming from some Khartoum residents who fled other conflicts in the region, such as Rosa Matemma from Ethiopia, who has lived in Sudan for 7 years.
Now we stay without electric, without water, without bread, without anything. So we need somebody to help us, please. We can't help, yani. Nobody can help us. You know, my children now, they didn't drink, they don't eat anything.
Standing among the rubble, residents of Savare, Mali, take stock of the damage following a suspected jihadist attack that rocked the town on Saturday morning. This is the latest attack that has hit the country, which has been battling a security crisis for more than a decade.
Standing amid the rubble, residents of Savare in central Mali take stock of the damage. A suspected jihadist attack involving car bombs rocked the town on Saturday morning.
We heard noises after the prayer around 5:30, 5:40 a.m. Some people thought that a building collapsed and came to ask us for help.
Attackers targeted the area around the local airport, where a Malian military camp is located, reportedly housing Russian troops. Shots were also fired towards a nearby UN peacekeeping camp. Its soldiers were involved in the fighting, according to one official. Authorities said the Malian army later neutralized 28 attackers. Explosions destroyed houses in the area, killing several civilians and injuring more than 60 people.
A friend of mine was in a coma and lost several relatives. We were told that the most urgent need is blood to save lives.
The country has seen a wave of terrorist incidents in recent days. On Tuesday, 3 soldiers, including the chief of staff of Mali's interim president, were killed in an ambush claimed by jihadists. Mali has been battling a security crisis for more than 10 years. In 2020, its ruling military junta broke a long-standing alliance with France and other Western partners in its fight against jihadism. Troops from the Russian mercenary group Wagner have been operating in the country for more than a year, though authorities have never officially confirmed this.
After months of fighting in the eastern town of Bakhmut, Ukrainian forces are now holding on in dire circumstances. Kyiv has acknowledged that Ukraine is losing ground in the contested city, and Russia has claimed gains using fighters from the paramilitary Wagner group.
A city in ruins and still a battleground. After months of fighting, Ukrainian forces continue to hold on in Bakhmut under increasingly dire circumstances.
The enemy storming us is well prepared. They're not just convicts, as some say. There are units that know what they're doing. We mustn't underestimate our opponent.
Kyiv has acknowledged that it's losing ground in the heavily contested city located in the eastern Donetsk province. The Kremlin now says it's making progress using what it calls assault groups, a term often used for troops from the mercenary paramilitary Wagner group.
The assault detachments liberated 3/4 in the west part of the city of Bakhmut. Airborne troops blocked the enemy on the flanks and supported the assault detachments to take control of the city.
Despite having little obvious strategic value, Moscow sees Bakhmut as a key stepping stone to conquering Donetsk province, which it illegally annexed last summer despite not having full control over. In the nearby town of Chasiv Yar, volunteers distribute humanitarian aid and try in vain to convince the remaining civilians to evacuate in case Bakhmut falls and the Russians push westward.
They've lived here their whole lives. They know every pot and pan they bought. This is their property. They know leaving would mean losing it all.
With Ukraine reportedly preparing a counteroffensive, fighting in the region will likely only intensify in the coming months.
France is trying to limit the diplomatic fallout after President Emmanuel Macron said Europe should reduce its dependence on the US and avoid getting caught up in crises that are not ours, following a state visit to China earlier this month.
French President Emmanuel Macron travelled to Beijing seeking China's help in ending Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That commitment was not forthcoming. But Macron later wrote on Twitter, "Long live the friendship between China and France." China described the visit as successful and rewarding. Just days later, the Chinese military conducted live fire exercises encircling Taiwan, which Beijing claims as part of its territory. On his return home, Macron said Europe must formulate its own China policy, rather than following the path of its transatlantic ally, the United States.
France is for the status quo in Taiwan. France supports the One China policy and the search for a peaceful settlement of the situation. This is, moreover, the position of the Europeans, and it is a position which has always been compatible with the role of ally. But it is precisely here that I insist on the importance of strategic autonomy. Being allies does not mean being a vassal.
Those comments triggered a backlash, especially in Eastern Europe. The Czech foreign minister responded, saying strong transatlantic relations are the foundation of Europe's security. Macron's timing was unwise, says former French ambassador to the US, Gérard Araud, now with the Atlantic Council.
We are just right now fighting, all of us together, behind the Americans. We are fighting the Russian aggression in Ukraine. And I do understand that for a lot of our partners, it was not the right moment, frankly, to raise the issue of our transatlantic alliance.
Critics say Macron's comments risk undermining that alliance.
Because it confirmed Chinese thinking that it is possible to drive a wedge between the United States and Europe.
In the wake of the brewing diplomatic storm, a delegation from the French Parliament visited Taiwan last week to reassure them of French support. Amid Russia's war on Ukraine and rising tensions between the West and China, some argue Macron is trying to avert wider confrontation.
China is asking for a multilateral world, and Macron is coming and say, okay, if you don't arm Russia, we can be France and claim that we are not a vassal to the US. We can claim that we are all different blocs, that we have our own sensitivities toward the One China policy or Taiwan and all those things.
The 2024 US election could see a president less keen than Joe Biden to defend Europe.
I think that the debate will be reopened by force. The Europeans who want to sleep under the American flag will be obliged to wake up.
Meanwhile, analysts say Britain's so-called AUKUS alliance with Australia and the United States would likely draw London into any confrontation in the Indo-Pacific.
Portugal is Lula's latest stop in a worldwide tour aimed at reviving relations following the isolation period that set in during his predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro's time in office. Standing alongside his Portuguese counterpart on Saturday, he denounced a climate of hatred brought on by disinformation. However, his charm offensive has been criticized by Ukraine as well as other Western nations, with anti-Russia protesters standing outside Brazil's embassy on Saturday.
It's his latest stop on a worldwide tour to revive relations. After visits to the United States and China, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva is now on an Iberian tour. He's trying to undo the isolation that set in under his far-right predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro. Speaking alongside the Portuguese president, Lula denounced a climate of hatred brought on by disinformation.
We are two democracies, currently under threat from extremism, political violence and hate speech, fed by fake news. Fake news encourages distrust in institutions and politics.
But his international charm offensive has come in for criticism. In particular, Ukraine and its Western allies have taken affront to his recent comments that the United States should stop supplying Ukraine with weapons, as well as suggestions last year that Kiev shared the blame for Moscow's invasion. Lula rejected accusations. He was trying to appease all sides and said Brazil's position on the war was clear.
I don't want to please anyone. I just want to find a way to bring both of them to the table. This war should not have started. Russia should not have invaded, but it did.
Lula's focus will be on signing several contracts with Portugal and later Spain. But critics appear determined not to let his comments lie. Ukrainian protesters greeted his arrival in Lisbon on Friday with anti-Russian slogans outside the Brazilian embassy.
Tens of thousands of Israelis packed Tel Aviv streets on Saturday for the 16th consecutive week to protest government's judicial reforms they see as an attack on democracy. As the people of Israel prepare to celebrate the state's 75th anniversary, the huge crowds demonstrate how greatly divided its citizens are.
Another Saturday, another day of protests. As the people of Israel prepare to celebrate 75 years since the founding of the state, the huge crowds in the streets reveal the deep division reigning in the country.
I'm coming here every Saturday, and this Saturday is more important because on Wednesday we have our Independence Day. When I see what is going on this time, it's terrible. It's the least I can do.
What I want to say to Netanyahu that he has to be a leader of all people of Israel. He is talking to his people, the people that vote for him, and the other he doesn't care.
It's the 16th week of action after Benjamin Netanyahu committed to overhauling the judicial system. He aims to allow lawmakers in the Knesset to have the final say on judges' appointments and to give them the power to override rulings by the country's Supreme Court. The Prime Minister has been critical of Israel's justice system after being indicted on corruption charges back in 2019. Opponents are calling for the plan to be scrapped, warning it would be a threat to democracy. In the face of the mass protests, last month Netanyahu announced a pause in the plans to allow for discussion. But demonstrators are showing no sign they'll be backing down anytime soon.
U.S. lawmakers have been reacting after the Supreme Court on Friday preserved women's access to a pill long used for medically induced abortions, while a lawsuit on the matter continues. The move blocked a lower court ruling that would have imposed restrictions on the use of the drug mifepristone.
A medication approved nearly a quarter-century ago by the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, will remain on the market for now. The Supreme Court decision Friday rejected a lower court's ruling in Texas concerning mifepristone, which, in combination with a second drug, misoprostol, is used in more than half of all abortions in the country. A lawsuit had been filed contending the FDA approval of mifepristone was flawed. This follows the conservative-leaning Supreme Court's ruling nearly 1 year ago overturning Roe v. Wade, thus eliminating a woman's constitutional right to an abortion and sending the issue back to the states. Some lawmakers have recently called for extreme punishments for those seeking the procedure.
In my home state of South Carolina, there was a very small group of state legislators that filed a bill that would execute women who have abortions and gave more rights to rapists than women who've been raped. That is the wrong message heading into 24. We're going to lose huge if we continue down this path of extremities. The vast majority of people want some sort of gestational limits. They want exceptions for rape and incest. They want women to have access to birth control.
With the Supreme Court having overturned the national right to have an abortion, state legislatures have gotten to work on the issue. In Florida, under cover of night and following a vote at the State House, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill to ban abortions after 6 weeks. Meanwhile, Michigan Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer repealed a 1931 abortion ban, solidifying abortion rights in the state's constitution. And the Texas lower court's ruling in this case comes amid slumping approval of the American judiciary, according to a recent poll by Gallup.
The judge's decision in Texas, I think, was crazy. The notion that you would take a drug that has been used safely for more than 2 decades and somehow then take that away from availability. I frankly think this is an issue that women's healthcare choices ought to be made by women, and the idea of this judge so radically intervening with a safe procedure, frankly, not only about women's healthcare choices, but it undermines the very integrity of our FDA process. And I think the court got it right, but who knows where their ultimate decision will be.
Abortion rights have again become a rallying cry for voters ahead of the 2024 election cycle. President Joe Biden, who praised the Friday Supreme Court decision, has said he would further push for abortion rights to become law.
China is expanding its nuclear weapons capacity with Russia's help. This leaves top U.S. officials and lawmakers in the position of having to decide how to respond to a new era in which the world has 3 major nuclear powers.
China and Russia have made no secret of their extensive nuclear cooperation, joining together via video link in May of 2021 to celebrate the construction of new nuclear power units at 2 nuclear plants in China, both of which use Russian technology. While China's arsenal of nuclear warheads is still small compared to the U.S. and Russia, it is growing fast. G7 foreign ministers expressed concern about the scope and pace of China's nuclear expansion at a meeting in Japan this week. And senior U.S. Defense Department officials have testified before Congress that a new breeder reactor in China is for plutonium, and that plutonium is for weapons. VOA asked State Department Deputy Spokesperson Vedant Patel about how the United States plans to respond.
The PRC's nuclear buildup is deeply concerning, and it raises questions about the PRC's intent, and it reinforces the importance of pursuing practical measures to reduce nuclear risks. The pace at which the PRC is operating will create new stresses on international stability and new challenges for deterrence, assurance, arms control, and risk reduction.
China this week sought to dispel the concerns voiced by G7 foreign ministers in Japan.
China has always followed a defensive nuclear strategy, stick to the policy of no first use of nuclear weapons, and kept our nuclear capabilities at the minimum level required by national security. China is the only one among the 5 nuclear weapon states to have made these pledges. For any country, as long as they do not use or threaten to use nuclear weapons against China, they have nothing to worry about being threatened by China's nuclear weapons. This is the most meaningful transparency a country can provide.
Many U.S. lawmakers are skeptical of China signing on to an arms control treaty. And earlier this year, Russian President Vladimir Putin suspended his country's involvement in the last remaining arms control agreement with the U.S., the New START Treaty. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCall spoke to VOA on his fears about China's nuclear buildup.
I've had the
classified briefings on this, and it's massive. Their nuclear arsenal is frightening, and there's no treaty to control it. Ideally, we could renegotiate a New START treaty with Russia and include China in that. But I think given this unholy alliance that we're seeing and the aggression that we're seeing from both dictators in both countries, I have very little hope that that will happen.
Democratic lawmaker David Kusile told VOA the U.S. must act.
I have never been a supporter of additional nuclear proliferation. I think we need to redouble our efforts to prevent other countries from enlarging their nuclear stockpile, and adding more nuclear weapons from the U.S. is counterproductive to that effort.
The Federation of American Scientists estimates that China now has about 410 nuclear warheads. Russia has 5,889, and the U.S. has 5,244.
The EU is reportedly preparing emergency curbs on Ukrainian food products after several member states bordering Ukraine imposed their own import bans in recent days, complaining that a glut of cheap produce is hitting their own farmers.
In the past week, Poland, Hungary, Slovakia and Bulgaria have banned the import of Ukrainian grain and other products in apparent breach of EU law.
Our market is oversaturated with crops. Our own production is worth billions, and we believe it will be difficult to sell, so we will suffer serious losses unless we take measures.
Farmers have staged protests in countries bordering Ukraine.
We will witness a chain of bankruptcies of Romanian farmers.
The European Union dropped tariffs and quotas on food imports from Ukraine after Russia's invasion last year. Brussels said the import bans violate EU law.
Unilateral action is not possible under EU trade policy.
Nevertheless, the EU is reportedly preparing a deal to help farmers in the countries affected, with $109 million of funding, along with emergency curbs on the import of Ukrainian grains into their domestic markets until at least June. The dispute has taken many by surprise.
In the case of Poland, what's so strange is that this is so much at odds with the assistance that Poland has given Ukraine in other ways. So, this is entirely driven by domestic political considerations to do with protests by Polish farmers and, the risk that the government obviously feels that the farmers might defect and vote for some other party in the next elections.
For Ukrainian farmers, the import bans add to the troubles caused by Russia's invasion.
I would like farmers in the agricultural lobby in the eastern countries to understand that we face similar problems. We don't ask for subsidies. We don't want anything like that. Just help us to sell our goods.
The glut of Ukrainian grain in Europe is partly due to reduced exports through the Black Sea since Russia's invasion. A United Nations brokered deal to reopen the shipping route came into force last August, but Russia is threatening to end the deal when it's up for renewal next month. The ban on imports of Ukrainian grain by some countries in Europe could play into Moscow's hands, says Bond.
It seems to me that this increases the chances that Russia will see this as a pressure point and will try to use it as a way of saying, well, we're not going to renew the grain deal unless you agree to, no doubt, completely unacceptable conditions.
While the domestic import ban remains in place, Poland resumed the transit of Ukrainian products across its territory Friday. The European Union said it plans to organise alternative transport to take grain from Ukraine's land borders to ports where it can be sold on the world market.
At Bolivia's Lake Pupu, where there used to be water, there is now a dry bed. The lake has suffered many droughts before, but this dry spell has endured for the past 20 years due to the combined impact of increased water demand and the El Nino weather cycle.
Dry mud covered in salt,
as far as the eye can see. Lake Popo was once the second largest body of water in Bolivia. A descendant of the indigenous Uru people, Erasmo saw the lake slowly dry up over the past 20 years.
The water didn't come back because of the lack of rain. Our ancestors used to say that the lake came back every 10 years, but so far it's still gone.
Lake Popo has been through many droughts, but this one is longer and more sudden.
As you can see, since the water disappeared, everything has been abandoned. Uru families can't fish anymore.
Before the lake went dry, water demand in the region increased drastically, mainly because of galloping urbanization, quinoa cultivation, and mining. Things got worse after El Niño brought severe droughts. The Uru Marato people were among the most impacted. Women couldn't fish anymore and moved towards arts and crafts.
We do this to survive, to be able to put food on the table. But we don't make much money. Sometimes we sell a little and sometimes not at all. It used to be beautiful out on the lake with 38 bird species. We had so much to eat, but now there's nothing left.
Men are leaving to work in the mines. The village lost half its population in nearly 10 years. There are only 88 of them left. In La Paz, the drought is being monitored by the Bolivian Hydrometeorological Bureau.
These past years, we've seen rather high temperatures, way over the historical records. This phenomenon leads to evaporation, too.
Because of global warming and failing water management policies, Lake Popo is unlikely to recover anytime soon.
29 minutes after 7, sitiphethe lapho ngephandle. Let's take a break. Sitawubuya sikhulume na Master Dlamini.
Minutes after 7, siphindze sikwamukele ehlelweni njengoba besishilo ukuthi Linda Master Dlamini tasijoyina kukhulumisa tona tetemidlalo. Nkosi sikuvuselele lomhla ekseni.
Ngiyabonga sifisa ukumukela ehlelweni lakho ngetithuba lokukhuluma uvuselele wena mloyal viewers breakfast show ngumsombuluko labanye banethubutu ngempela sondvo kodwa tsine waya tindzaba tetemidlalo budi weekend yonke ukhuluma ibhola ukhuluma rugby ukhulume tonke letinvo leto bo cycling udzinga ukuthi Monday uhlale ufresh.
Master, ngiyathanda ukuthi sicale ngema local results. Siphume evikini leliphelile sikhuluma ukuthi kungena kule mpelasonto lesisuka kwethu njengoba usho nje. Onke emehlo bekabheke ku-derby lenkulu lekhona lebeyikhona ngelisonto Eswatini TV beniyisakade asikhulume ngale game leyo ehambe kanjani ama results.
Sifiso nawubuka indlela ibhola yakithi ebalandzeli labayithanza ngayo kuyajabulisa emacembu abo bawathanza bese sekudzingeka ukuthi le product labayoyibukela noma labayithanzako imaketheke bayithanze kakhulu. Ngicabanga ukuthi onke lama games akunika emagoli which is ema-fans lakujabulelako, which is FIFA lakujabulelako. Ukhuluma ngeDerby lembabane derby lebedlalela khona eMavuso Sports Center itolo njengoba usho ukuthi umsakado wetithombe Eswatini TV bese isakada le bhola leyo Sifiso the game the result le draw ya 1-1 ayivumi iMbabane Swallows icishe iMbabane Highlanders yona, so singasho ukuthi maybe vele abasalweli ileague balula number 2 kodwa iMbabane Swallows ikore kuqala kule game le beyibukakala ngathi ifuna kudominate first half yakora kuqala through Sandile Hlatshwako lapho khona kube nema gaps lamaningi kakhulu ku defense yayo iMbabane Swallows, and nawubuka the way lecela ngayo iMbabane Swallows beyifuna kudlala lama long balls beyiwathatha lama long balls iwafake ecut, but second half ibese seyabuya nayo iMbabane Highlanders yazama nayo yashintsha the style of play lama long passes, because bese kungena abadlali Kenneth Molotho ungenile Philani Mkhondo ungenile kwaba ipenalty wayithatha yena Philani Mkhondo, and before this penalty ngibone Enzo Mota abamba ibhola afuna noma bekafuna kuyithatha yini. Ngathi engqondweni yami if Enzo Mota ayithatha kunemdlali lo njengaphilane lo ne confidence, not ukuthi Enzo ude but a penalty taker kuMbabane Highlanders nguphilane Mkhondo ukorile ke Philane Mkhondo ligole equalizer ipenalty yayo iMbabane Highlanders lokwenda ukuthi le game igcine iphela nga 0-0 njoba ngisho ukuthi le result labanengi ba understand ukuthi ileague ime kanjani ayivumi iMbabane Swallows yes but lama breaking rights nawubuka ukuthi kulamanye ama results iGreen Mamba ikhonile kuncoba kuMonen Pirates 3-1, and kule game lena ke Monen Pirates neGreen Mamba iMonen Pirates ikore kuqala early in the game yakora. But bese kudzinga sibone i-character yayo iGreen Mamba ukuthi bangiwini vele bayafunani kuba ama-champions babuyile ke bakora bashaya 3 goals bancoba, but iGreen Mamba itendele favor because naye i-Royal Party bendele favor ku-Young Buffaloes ukuthi badrawe 1-1 plus for yona iGreen Mamba kulama results lawo njoba ngisho ukuthi idrawile Young Buffaloes neRoyal Party 1-1 kule title race. Kodwa Sifiso, result of the weekend Mazini Sibet 7 Dreams 8 goals 8 goals isibet ngicabanga ukuthi seyibe involved kuma season lang 2 alandzelana ngamagoli amaningi kakhulu. Last season bebane Young Buffaloes, yes bebane Young Buffaloes kwangena 7 nyalo against 7 Dreams kungena 8 kulo mdlalo lo yanga concede Manzini Sibet. So ngicabanga ukuthi le team kancane kancane seyiyabuya last week bakhala phasi last minute kuMbabane Highlanders kancane kancane iyabuya, but kulamanye ama results Denver Sundowns on Friday yanqoba kuThambuti Thambuti inayo ibalekela irelegation banabo 7 Dreams. Ngicabanga ukuthi nawubuka le phasa emsileni 7 Dreams irelegate kulo game lama games la lang3 lasele possible ukuthi nayi wawina onke iyohlala ku19 against Thambuti sekubuka i-head to head iThambuti i-head to head iningenhla, so 7 Dreams ngasho nje ukuthi because i-team lene possibility ukuthi ingayendlula iKellies lokusho ukuthi kuhamba 2 7 Dreams relegated.
So it's a race between Thambuti and
Thabangulu Kellies ukuthi sengibani lo wehlayo featuring Manzini Wanderers, because yona iThabangulu Kellies nayiwina next game it's 18 nayiwina leli landzelako it's 21 iyahamba iya 24. Manzini Wanderers if ingeke ize iwawine onke iThabangulu Kellies wawine onke ingahamba Manzini Wanderers nakhona kubukakala ukuthi Thambuti itawudlala kanjani, but kule pace lekhanjwa ngayo because iManzini Wanderers kule weekend le iwinile ngisingizini Hotspurs 2-1 so ungabona ukuthi nawubuka lama results lesibuya kule weekend ungasho ukuthi Thambuti Sifiso ngenteke iphekele 7 Dreams. Yes, Thambuti ngenteke iphekele i7 Dreams.
iThabangulu Kellies lendlela baya ngayo lama odds ngiyafuna lokuyikhansela mina nawubeka nje
ukuthi out
nawubeka lama odds but now since indzaba yeThambuti neManzini Wanderers, I think Thambuti is still on the race. We cannot count them out.
Ngeke uzuba count out kodwa ngibuka lokuthi nawutawu khala phasi ku the likes not to disrespect i-Denver Sundowns but nangabe udliwa i-Denver Sundowns 3-0 i-team lecoshe coach lehambise coach within 3 days bafike badlale nawe bafike bakushaye ngicabanga ukuthi kukhona lokushodako la ngakuwe so ngawo ngithi yona ithambuthi mina ngibona ngathi ngenteka ithabankulukhelisi satodlala ne-Wanderers asathi kuleyo game leyo ukuthi kutawendeka yini kodwa ke lapha eTulu kulukhuni isifiso
indzaba yalapha eTulu master either way ngichaza ngokuthi sobeke ama disclaimer njalo nokhuluma ngalokuthi kuke kwaba khona i-team lekutshela ukuthi wena usho something yeah but kahle lokuthi ayibeka leyo disclaimer but angifuni ukuthi bakuthuse man master
no
ngifuna ukhulume an analyst ungakhuluma anything that you want
mina Nkosi yami over the years angisatshiswa ngilutho ngikhuluma info njengoba injalo nangabe info ingendeki kahle ngiyayisho angisatshiswa kodwa ngisenda lokho angifuni ukuthi because singumsakazo siya informa siya educator yabona angifuni kulimata letinye tetinvo ezikusaka.
Perfect master cha I support you on that one indzaba lenye lesingayikhulumisa kakhulu master namhla I want us to talk about it indzaba ya top goal scorer nekubreaka kwema record Felix Badenhorst beka ku trajectory ukuthi if angakora amagoli angabe sekusele ngaka 6 goals
kusele 6 goals afike ku 26
in how many games
kusele 3 nyana
so him not scoring kule game yayitolo is not a good look.
Shose sekudzinga ukuthi kuze atoyikhanza le record ya Sandile Gametse Saviola sekudzinga ukuthi ashaye ama brace 2-2-2 kune next 3 games or hat-trick uyamkhanza then last game kushaya umoya sengamshaya lu2 al break lelo record lelo kodwa kulukhuni kakhulu yes I know ukuthi mina Sandile last season nakusele 4 games bekana 20 goals kulo last 3 games wakhona ukuthi I break a all-time record.
We are not counting Felix out yet. It's going to be beautiful to see ukuthi udlala kanjani isachubeka ileague but nje at the same time siyaveta ukuthi it's not going to be easy looking at the number of games left. Fine benchmark Sandile but I'm just saying I'm sitting here I'm saying master 3 games left it's not going to be easy. But kutamfakile pressure le kahle ke leyo sitawubukela as ama fans siyajabula ukuthi sitawubukela ibhola lenhle. Master, let's talk about South African results. Nasiya kuphela sonto again sibukile fixture the likes of Kaizer Chiefs versus Sekhukhune United but it is going to be an exciting game. I'm looking at an exciting result one that was not really expected but nje ngichazele ngalama games lawa onke master
I results Sfiso nawubuka lengaphasi Marumo Gallants versus Chippa United. Marumo Gallants they're doing very well ku CAF Confederations Cup but babalekela relegation nabo nawubuka nje timvo betinga bahambeli kahle kodwa ke I game lenye lengicabanga ukuthi Sekhukhune versus Kaizer Chiefs itolo i-Chiefs ilwela kucetha beyicompetela the second spot bane Pirates bane Super Sport kodwa ke yakhala phasi i-Chiefs kuSekhukhune United nga 1-0 iganzi Orlando Pirates yona Cape Town City iwinile 2-1 so excuse me i-team lene advantage nyalo Orlando Pirates ukuthi ingacetha number 2 ihambe neSundowns iye ku CAF Champions League njengoba ubona ukuthi lapha eTulu isekhona Super Sport United ila icompete nayo Orlando Pirates ngicabanga ukuthi between Super Sports and Orlando Pirates iChiefs sayitikokhele ku race sayitawuthandazela ukuthi ihambe iAfrica through iNedbank Cup if bawina iNedbank Cup bata ku CAF Confederations Cup naba wina yona le Nedbank Cup but ubuka ngala ku league ngicabanga ukuthi sekuyenyukela sekukhuphuka iMount Kilimanjaro uthwele lisaka but nawubuka kula lamanye ema teams ngicabanga ukuthi Cape Town City iqale kahle isizini Sekhukhune United nawubuka le position labakuyo position 6 bangetulu kweStellenbosch bangetulu kweGolden Arrows bangetulu kweMaZulu uyabona ukuthi this team i-team lensha lena iyafika iyadzinga ngicabanga ukuthi iyadzinga kushayelwa tandla because lapha labakhona nyalo ngicabanga ukuthi badlale kahle kakhulu but nawubuka lengaphasi kunema teams la njengabo Maritzburg United kunabo Chipa iyadeserve ngiyathandaza ukuthi iChipa United irelegatwe atoke umphathi wayo ake akayekele lokushintsha bocoach ngathi ushintsha emasokisi Sifiso ibhola ayisiyo leyo ngiyathandaza ukuthi kube iChipa United ilapha la khona eMaritzburg khona itawe hambi eka first division atawuhluta yena Chipa Mpengesi understand ukuthi ibhola yini but the likes of iSwallows ngicabanga nayo Tinva atihambele kahle team lena last season lesiyibonile ifuna ku compete first round beyicompete ne Sundowns but second round yasiba nama draws lamanengi yangakhona ukuthi igcine icompetile but njoba ngisho ukuthi bo the likes of Cape Town City amaZulu Stellenbosch kudzinga ukuthi lawo ma teams lawo ende kahle compared to kunalesikubonayo.
Yeah, Master, you've counted out Kaizer Chiefs. The race is now between
SuperSports and Orlando Pirates.
Yeah, between those two teams, when you look at the remaining games, lasasele nyalo, ungathi ngibani lone advantage?
Kulukhuni ngicabanga ukuthi nawubuka iSuperSports coach Kevin Hunt umumvu lo yathi inside out le league yase South Africa umumvu lo cishe awacoachile ngaphandle kwe Pirates and Sundowns ucoachile iChiefs wayicoacha iSwallows wayicoacha iVets wayicoacha cishe ama teams lamanengi une experience uyiwinile ileague na two different teams wayiwina kuSuperSports amahlandla lamathathu wayiwina kuVets so ngicabanga ukuthi kule position le uyati ukuthi kuyodlala eAfrica kusho ukuthini kuye uyati ukuthi naka winile as number 2 ahambile uyodlala eAfrica kushona but ngala ku Pirates ngicabanga ukuthi they have a team le good kodwa the coach yes uhle awende ama mistake but iPirates yaqala iyayiphika le form if utawina against your Cape Town City 2-1 i-team le coachwa Eric Tinkler ngicabanga ukuthi uyakhombisa ukuthi we are one of the best ku league yase South Africa.
So based on paper and experience, we can say ukuthi SuperSports in an edge,
yes.
But we don't know yet. It's beautiful to watch logo. I'll be excited ukubona logo Master. Since ayenzaba iChipa United ukuthi baphathi baya bayekele kushintsha abo coach ngathi bashintshe amasokisi. Ngifuna singena English Premier League sicale ngesikhulume ngeChelsea kancane just briefly ngoba it's one of those teams le criticize kushintsha abo coach njengemasokisi kule season lena. Fine sithena singena kuyo le weekend lena sicale ngeArsenal versus Southampton but how critical is it ekutheni i-team izamela ukuthi ibe consistent ngacoach imbeketele ngisho anema downfalls Master?
Kunana labathi nawakha i-team Sifiso uyadzinga kumnika umumvu isikhathi bese so bathi you have to trust the process bebasho njalo Edu technical director weArsenal wathi say le process kumele ukuthi mafenze Arsenal I believe iChelsea ukhuluma ngeChelsea nawubuka ukuthi the season kucoache Tuchel kwacoacha Conte Lampard
naye lo wende so
back and forth 3 wabo coach la sebafikile laba coachile kule season lena ku Chelsea ngicabanga ukuthi ayidzingi lento leyo nawo i-team lenjenge Chelsea kodwa sithemba ukuthi laba phathi ba because baphathi labasha laba yakhumbula ukuthi Roman Abramovich wase Russia wayishiya iChelsea ngenzaba tembile echubeka eRussia ne Ukraine wathenga ukuthi ayishiyele Chelsea naye bekanawo lomkhuba okuhle coach abashintsha kodwa ke yena bekumsebentela bekumsebentela kakhulu because nawubuka ema-leagues laba wathethe under yena bathethe 5 ema-leagues bathathe i-Champions League bathathe ima-Europa lang 2 kodwa lo khona ngicabanga ukuthi kumele anike decide ukuthi yes ngiyathi Lampard ubambile until the end of the season ukhona Pochettino bamfuna Pochettino ukhona Luis Enrique bamfuna Luis Enrique beka coach Spain World Cup lephelile yena Pochettino beka coach PSG wakwa coach ne Tottenham Hotspur ngicabanga ukuthi kumele ukuthi ba decide early ukuthi awuthi wakiye wa pre-season babe sebanayo lo coach labatawuhamba naye pre-season afake le philosophy yakhe kule team ye Chelsea because badlali banawo ati ukuthi uyababuyisa labanye badlali Lukaku is on loan ku Inter Milan kumele ba decide ukuthi bambuyisa or uyachubeka uhlala eInter Milan. Joe Felix ukulona eChelsea ba decide ukuthi bamthenga eAtletico Madrid noma uyahamba. Aubameyang akadlali ku Chelsea ba decide ukuthi bamthengisa noma uyadlala. So ngicabanga ukuthi if coach batam announce early utaba naye nema plans akhe abe nabadlali futhi latawuthenga ukuthi abathenge yena labatawusuitha philosophy yakhe.
I think that's a good thing for whoever's the incoming coach utaba ngwe big decisions lokufuna awathatha but must out since inzabe ukuthi coach Ed watsinza inzabe trust the process. I think Arsenal in their current position that is exactly what they need to do, Nyalo. So reflect on the game, let's versus the Southampton. Talk to me about this game, Master. Watching that game, it was painful even for me. I'm not even an Arsenal fan. Just seeing goal in 1 minute.
Arsenal fan.
Yeah, goal 1 minute, let mistake. Why, as a team, that should be avoiding these mistakes, taking advantage of a game against Southampton in this critical stage of the league?
So I think we are being too harsh kulabadlali beArsenal. Inawubuka le ndlela kodwa umvula bekanike ichance Arsenal ukuthi ingacompete neCity this season. Bebaliwe iChelsea, ibaliwe iLiverpool, ibaliwe Manchester, Tottenham. Kude bekabali Arsenal. Nawubuka ukuthi the previous 2 seasons Arsenal yacitha number 2. Yacitha number 8. Yabuya last season yacitha number 6. So this season lokungenani bekumele ukuthi bacithe number 3 noma number 4 ukuze kutawubonakala ukuthi but lokujumpa from number 6 to ucompetela ileague against ucompete neManchester City ngicabanga ukuthi bayi deserve credit Mikel Arteta kodwa labadlali kule stage lesi abazange sebabe kuzo vele lama mistakes loku breaker bekutakwendeka sekudzinga ukuthi Nyalo Mikel Arteta adlale irole lenkulu kakhulu because ucoachile na Pep Guardiola wacoacha ngeArsene Wenger kuArsenal kudzinga ukuthi understand Nyalo asalangena la tingqondweni talabadlali abazame kuba motivator bakhona abadlali lesingasho ukuthi cishe banayo experience bakhona bo Thomas Partey bakhona bo Granit Xhaka kudzinga ukuthi ke Nyalo nabo Jesus Gabriel Jesus sekudzinga ukuthi Nyalo kube ngibo la sebathwala le team badlala on Wednesday badlala neManchester City i-team laba compete nayo and iArsenal yagcina kushaya iManchester City 20 bekasadlala Mikel Arteta 2015 so mizele minyaka bayidzinga le result.
They did show character, however, Master. We're looking at a game lapho khona Southampton scored on the very first minute, but Falco Lesbili in 14 minutes. Arsenal's first game was around 22 minutes, I believe. This first goal.
First goal, Martinelli.
But the game iphele kung 3-3. Nzabalo ishilo ekhombisa i-character. I think lapho kubese kuphuma yona. Lenzabe ukuthi, they're a great team this season. Not even a good team. They are a great team this season. Some mistakes lafana lawa, I suppose they were bound to happen. The way also justifying a corner. Nasibuka their run in the previous 3 seasons. But must I also want us to highlight the Mastet's Aule game. We're talking about 25 shots from Arsenal against 8 shots for Southampton. Bese ke labo shot on target babang 6-6. Yini le longathi wena nayibuka le game le yabangela ukuthi from the 25 shots only 6 abe on target?
I think sifisa nawubuka iArsenal le ndlela lidlala ngayo bamdzinga umumvu lotabo wathatha lawo ma shots abe on target because la on target ang 6 kuphela.
Alingana nalapho.
Ngicabanga ukuthi alingana neSouthampton. Ngicabanga ukuthi bamdzinga lo mvu loyo. Kodwa sifiso nawuthi uyabuka kule team yes Gabriel Jesus usabuya injury vele bekudzinga ukuthi Martinelli kube nguye lo thatha leyo responsibility from iwing ukorileke kule game lena and so equally i-record ya Firmino Roberto Firmino we Liverpool the highest scoring Brazilian ku league ever with emagoli 13 or 14.
It's impressive.
Yeah ngicabanga ukuthi njoba ukhuluma ngama stats iArsenal wavuma ama stats kodwa nawubuka le ndlela labo buye ngayo kule game lena sifiso ngicabanga ukuthi ikhombisele njoba ukhuluma ngecharacter and nawubuka lama games labakhonile ukuthi babuye ngawo babuyela against Bournemouth babuya against Manchester United, babuya against yona Southampton.
Yeah.
And not kuthi ngisho lokho as an Arsenal fan. Ngicabanga ukuthi this season le league utawuphindze naku lesakubona Aguero ngalomnye umnyaka.
Okay.
Lo tawina le league. But ekugcineni.
Yeah. But yeah, just to further highlight indaba ukuthi Arsenal really had a better game statistically. They also had 75% possession versus 25%. They had 670 passes.
Games no wabuka so Arsenal last 5 games draw 3.
Yeah.
That's not a good record.
I just think in the conversion ratio, master. Everything else, no bugalet, no ball. They are playing good football. It's just they need to convert more. So I suppose going forward,
Arsenal compete in Manchester City. Manchester City lena Haaland.
Yeah, le converter.
Le washaya magoli. Le washaya magoli. And langa phasi kwabo kuna Newcastle United ngicabanga itolo ishaye iTottenham Hotspur 6-1. Ngiyakhumbula lo mnyaka ngesikhathi Leicester City ishaya ithatha ileague. Last game Tottenham Hotspur ishaya Newcastle nga 5-1. So vele iNewcastle iyayisi Tottenham Hotspur iyawashaya amagoli nakudzinga ukuthi washaya. Manchester United number 4 balengene nayo iNewcastle nga 69. And now buka the last 5 games Manchester United idliwe kanye ya draw kanye. Newcastle kulo 5 games idrowe kanye yona yawawina onke lamanye ngicabanga ukuthi team lekhomba kuba consistent ngiyo iNewcastle United. And my favorite player Newcastle United Alexander Isak so approve ukuthi is one of my top strikers
really good player.
ngicabanga ukuthi if Eddie Howe atawubuya ngale form labuya kuyo la tawucisa ngayo isizini abuye next season aqale ngayo ngicabanga ukuthi itawucompete yona iNewcastle United.
Yeah, master, and I suppose ukuthi nyalo nje going forward sesibukelo April 26. Lesibukelo April 26 master sibukelo 9 p.m. ngalesithathu. Konke lokunye sesingacoca ngako but ngifuna ukuthi nyalo sedlulele ku FA Cup. Nyalo lana sibuke April 26.
Lesithathu loyo kuselele langa la kusasa kuphela. Then on Wednesday Arsenal versus Manchester City. Kodwa ke kune FA Cup lebeyidlala on Saturday Manchester City yadlala neSheffield United ma semi-finals ekuqala. Lapho khona sabona Riyad Mahrez ashaya amagoli lang 3 yawena Manchester City again babuyela eWembley ku final. iManchester City ngendeka iwine idouble this season. Ngendeka iwine FA Cup iwine neChampions League. Okay ngendeka bawina treble. Kodwa lenye igame lesiyibonile itolo Brighton versus Manchester United game Brighton iforsile ukuthi igcine iye kuma penalties ya extra time so loku 0-0 yagcina iwinile yona iManchester United kuma penalties nga 7-6 nyalo sesiyobona iManchester derby ku final kasi ma fireworks yakhumbula ukuthi earlier this season nayisaqala Manchester City versus Manchester United yawina Manchester United City ngamagoli lang 5. Kodwa nyalo sebadlala different ball game. It's a cup final. Wonke umuntu utabafuna kuwina isilver. Seyike iwina iManchester United iLeague Cup this season. Ngicabanga ukuthi bataba motivated kuyodlala against City kule final lena. Bana Rashford is on form, banabo bo Casemiro, banabo bo bonke labadlali bo Anthony bakhona Dahia ngicabanga ukuthi ukuform lengasho ukuthi ibest. Forget about le result against Sevilla lapho khona enda mistake but ngicabanga ukuthi lama saves la wentako angayinika iManchester United ukuthi iwine FA Cup but iManchester City kunabo Haaland kunabo De Bruyne kunabo Gundogan kunabo Bernardo Silva kunabo Rodri ngicabanga ukuthi ngikhuluma ngeCream lapho kuna Grealish iform yakhe isetulu kakhulu yena Grealish this season ubuyile since World Cup ukhonile ukuthi adiscover iform yakhe.
Master, kule final lena it's going to take some time. We're looking at the whole of May without seeing this final. But I think it's going to be easy judging ukuthi badlala kanjani ku English Premier League. Could see who's going to have, a better chance of winning the FA Cup. But currently as it stands, one, if I were to be an octopus, Manchester City has an advantage going into that game. And also, judging from the game, Lawalang 2, Lama semi-finals, scoring 3 goals against Sheffield. I believe 2 go first half. I'm not sure if I'm correct. No. The first one was in 43 minutes.
Yeah.
Second one was in 61 minutes.
First half ilite phela 1-0.
Yeah. But Jakubuka Lamakol Lawalang 3 versus Sheffield, that was bekukubukisa lokho.
Ngicabanga ukuthi
Four targets.
Riyad Mahrez
Yeah.
kule game lena udlala kahle kakhulu the Algerian. But ke sifiso nase ubuka kule build up Manchester derby. Bamvu bayakhohlwa ukuthi Erik ten Hag ukwaba ngi-assistant wa Pep Guardiola Bayern Munich. Bayikhohlwa le ndvo leyo.
Make a good point.
And uyabona ukuthi indlela Pep Guardiola influence labenayo kulabo coach la compete nabo uyodlala ne-assistant yakhe ku-final uleague ukhompyutha ne-assistant yakhe Mikel Arteta
lo wate matric akhe
uyabona so ngicabanga ukuthi kumele nyalo Pep Guardiola sala khombisa ukuthi ngibani master kulaba assistant bakhe because na next season Vincent Kompany captain wakhe upromothiwe ku Sky Bet Championship uyodlala ka Premier League neBurnley so bonke labadlali bonke labo coach labo I product noma singasho ukuthi khona labakutholile kuye Pep Guardiola but sekumele nyalo yena sala prove ukuthi ngibani master
master ngibani master njengoba ubuta siyazathi ukuthi nguwe master sibasole emakethe nyalo thank you so much for joining us but just to highlight indzaba lethi nzako yabo coach versus assistant coach is the real thing in the world of sports. The Golden State Warriors are facing the Sacramento Kings kuma NBA playoffs. The series is tied 2-2. Assistant coach wa coach Steve Kerr beka leader 2-0. I'm proving ukuthi ngawagopa onke matrix akho but the series is now tied. Interested to see the results of that as well. Asibasole emakethe uma sibuya we wrap up the show with Lungelele.
Watch local TV with the Eswatini TV app for only 20 emalangeni. Come on. Do the most with Eswatini TV app. Download from Google Play Store or App Store. We're good together.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
One minute after 8 o'clock, absayivele ishayile insimbi yesiphohlongo lokushona kuphela kuhlelo lwethu lomhlekiseni. Thank you so much for joining us today. Sasemotsi indaba neliviki lenhle naleli busisekele. We'll see you tomorrow. Nisale kahle.